All right. Welcome to We Hate Elon Musk podcast. No, I'm just kidding. And welcome
Jesus
to It's
Christ.
Basically Monday podcast, where I personally have some bones to pick with Mr. Musk. But
We're going right into it. We're not gonna see how we were the last few days. No, just just
yeah, fuck
straight to
it.
hating Elon.
Yep. All right. So this guy sucks because no, I'm just But we were just talking about this actually before we started recording, and we started talking about this, I think like right after we stopped recording, or maybe like a day or so after or something. Our last one. And like, yeah, I feel like whenever like you bring up uh yeah, whenever you bring up Tesla or Elon Musk around me, like it's like triggering. Like I'm just like don't say his name like at
Yeah,
present.
why is he so we should really just spend the whole episode getting to the bottom of like why he triggers you so much.
Yeah, just
Because
on public
Yeah,
therapy
yeah,
session.
just a deep dive, just in public. We should just
well like
commit to it.
it all started in 2014. Started in 2014 when he said his Tesla Model S was gonna cost only $25,000. It would have
Mm.
full self-driving and it would be everywhere in the United States, absolutely everywhere by the year 2022. And here we are in the last quarter of 2022, and I have a feeling that's not gonna happen at this point. Like, so there is no full self-driving, I think, legal anywhere in the entire United States. Like some people would
I think
argue it
it's
exists,
I
sure,
I
but
think
like,
it's in beta in parts of California right now. It has been for the last like 2 or 3 months, as far as I know. The last I heard about it.
okay, all
Like
right.
people are being able to test, like select drivers are testing it from what I heard.
How are select drivers testing it if it's driver?
Like they when I say that, I mean like they're only flipping the switch for those people, so like only those cars, those select people are able to experience it in those cars.
So they still have someone in the car?
We'll see. I don't understand what would the point of a car driving itself be?
Oh, so you can like go like pick something up for me or like go park yourself
And I don't think that's the
or
way that a lot of the
go
people
fix
who
yourself.
what? I
Like
don't
go
think
to
that's the way
the
a lot of people are
go to the
imagining
auto
using
shop and
that.
go fix yourself. That would be great. That's why I want to be able to take a nap in the back of a car on the way to work. This is what Elon Musk was promising everyone for $25,000 back in 2014. And I was like, wow, like I can't believe it. And it wasn't just him. It was Google. They had the same promise. When Google heard this, like literally like days later, there's like, oh, we're also working on a self-driving car. Don't forget, and ours will also be ready. Probably by like I think they said like 2022 they'll have like everything worked out, and then by 2024 or something they'd have uh their entire Waymo company like basically replacing Uber at that point. And like I'm like, okay, great. So this is like me back in 2014, which is 8 years ago. I was like, wow, like they're like even if their estimates are wrong, like that means like soon like my life is gonna change. Like
So wait, so this is all just you being upset because you're disappointed that you don't have access to a
Yeah.
full self-driving car yet?
Is this that you feel
yeah,
like betrayed
Yeah,
or
that's what it
what?
sounds like.
yeah, for sure. I mean like
It
here we
sound
are
it
in
sounds like Elon
2022.
promised it to like you personally. Like, did he call you
He
after?
did.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no, no,
he
no, no,
looked
no, no,
directly
no,
in
no,
my
no,
eyes when I
no,
was
no, no, no,
watching the
no. No,
TV
I mean
and he
like,
was like, "Yes, it's coming."
oh,
And the
he was
guy
only
who
talking
was
to you.
interviewing, no, he was talking to every single person. This is
It
a
sounds
public video. So yes,
it sounds
he's
like he was
talking to
only
me.
talking to you.
He's talking to every single person who watches that video and is allowed to do business with Tesla. That's who he's talking to, which
It's
includes me. So
no,
yes, he was
yeah.
talking to me.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure how like so is it the responsibility of every company to predict the future
Yeah,
perfectly?
yeah, that doesn't
Like
make
how
any
that's
I
not
sense.
even
mean,
possible.
Yeah,
I think
what?
you
Like you
guys,
can't
you say it's in beta in California. This has been in beta in California for since 20 fucking 14, actually before then. So like when I hear that, I'm just like,
Well,
sure, like I'll see
oh,
it when I believe
so
it
so
at
we
that point.
I didn't even get to finish what that was. So like when I say in beta, I don't mean like the company people are out there like testing it. I mean like people who already have a Tesla are able to just go and get in their car, activate whatever the self-driving mode is, and then like put in a destination and just sit there while it takes you there. Like that's what I mean by in beta. So like yeah, I would assume it's not in beta the same way it was in 2014 because I didn't hear about that in 2014. Maybe that was happening, I don't know, but that's the first I've heard of it. Like was like 3 or 4 months ago.
I just feel like I've seen my fair share of companies make promises on things they had no business ever making promises. And this is one of the most primest examples of that. Because like if it's they're still testing everything out at this point, if they wanted to be even close to their estimates, they don't even have a way of mass producing this for everyone. They have no way of making batteries like actually accessible and like for the longevity of cars. He hasn't figured that out yet. Like so that way a car will never get down to the 25,000 price point because replacing it costs so much. It's like no, we're nowhere near what he has promised. Like, so like
Okay.
all these
Why?
people will be like,
So why is him being way? Let's assume you're completely correct, right? And he's just way off of what you envisioned in 2014 as full self-driving or whatever it is he explained. Why does that bother you so much?
because like, well now, oh why? Okay, so I'm like, okay, so this happens. So then now as a customer, so like, how am I supposed to? What am I supposed to do when I see his videos and he talks about what they're working toward or what they have?
You should
When
take
like
it
I
all as a
already
grain of
know
yeah. You should take it all as a
that
grain of salt.
he doesn't actually say. He'll just say something that he doesn't have ready at all, and then be
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, we'll have this for sure by 2022." And
Yeah.
like, meanwhile, he's nowhere close. Like, and he knew that it was nearly impossible to get this close. Like, as as the CEO of a company, you know exactly what you're capable of, and you know exactly what you're not capable of. And he knew for sure that the 2022 estimate would be like as if literally multiple miracles happened to make that happen. Like that would be so highly unlikely that it's just like insane. So it's like I feel like that's grossly negligent on his part to look at all of us in the
Dude,
face and say, "Yes, I have this ready to go." It's like this is the timeline, it's ready. Meanwhile, you're not even close to close. What he should have done as a responsible CEO and as a respectable CEO in my eyes is said, "We're this is where we're at. This is what we have. It's a little it's not finished yet. At this point, to speculate on what when we're gonna be done with this, like we can't set out a date, but we can say, okay, we'll be finished with let's say the beta testing portion at this date. So like it's a lot less exciting. Yes, like oh, okay, like so they're not done and they're not even gonna put out a date on when everything is gonna be great, but they gave us a date on when the
well,
next process of the phase will finish.
well, that's
And that's
all.
a
That's
much
all
more
just about
achievable
money.
date.
That's just all about money anyway. Like, and we've kind of
So
talked
why
about this
would I do
before.
business with him then? Like, why would I buy a Tesla? Or like, why would I indulge in anything he ever says ever again if I know all he
Well,
does
okay.
is it's all about
From what I
money?
understand, all
Wait.
those things were like a press conference, not a
Yeah,
product launch.
yeah. So, but hold on a
How
second.
it's supposed to be done.
You said you're not gonna deal with him if you know that that's how he operates. So are you not gonna deal with Google too? Because you said Google made the same statement, but I'm assuming you still use Google. Like, are you mad at Google?
I mean, yes, in that way, like they're
But not enough to not use their products.
I mean, like they do so much, I can't really like not use them as an entire company. But like they also the way they run, it's more like a government almost. So like if you're gonna be mad at Google, you can be mad at them for I guess some things, but for like this, like their car thing, like Google is not a car company, so there's like one branch in their company. So I'm mad at that branch. I'm mad at like if they try and tell me that they're about to come out with something that has to do in the car self-driving car industry, then I am gonna be
I
like, yeah,
I
bullshit.
think. I think as a
I'll believe it when I see it. Like, I'm
yeah,
not gonna
well,
start gearing up my life to.
okay, okay. I think you should have been operating that way from the beginning. Like for you to watch a press conference that Elon Musk did and be like, yeah, he said 2022, so I'm for real expecting 2022. Like he's setting out to do something that is literally hasn't happened yet. So like I don't think anyone should ever hold anyone to that kind of standard when you're exploring something that we literally are building from the ground up. Like we literally don't have that yet. So like
So
I
you think
wouldn't
it
like
would be okay for a company to say, "Look, we just invented. We are literally just about to invent the first fusion reactor. Like, it's basically we have it already, and we guarantee, well, not guarantee, but like they asked them a million times, like, are you
yeah.
serious? Like 2020,
Yeah.
and he's like, yes, I'm serious
Yeah, I
for
expect companies
sure.
to do that. I
2022.
expect them to do that.
You think that's okay? That's crazy.
I
Like,
didn't say I didn't. Okay,
why would you want to live in a world like that?
you're misunderstanding me. I didn't say I think it's okay. I said I know that that's the reality. I'm okay with that reality because I live in reality. I have to just I didn't say I want to live in that world, but I know that it happens. So I'm not gonna just act like it doesn't happen and be mad about it when I know it's happening all the time. Like I don't
I
have
mean,
that kind of
either
energy
you're
to
okay
spend.
with it or you're not. Like, as far as doing business with Tesla,
Yeah,
would that be
then
something
it
that stops you from
no,
or changes the way you look at Tesla?
Absolutely not, because when I look at a press conference, I'm not taking that as a statement of fact, whether or not they say it or not, because I know a CEO's second job is to also be a promoter of their company. So no, I'm not ever taking anything they say about dates at face value until they come out with the actual product, and then I'll base my dealing with the company based on how I like the product, not based on what promises they make me. I'm not in a relationship with them. I'm buying stuff from them. Like, why
That
would I?
is a relationship with them.
No, I'm having a relationship with the product. My relationship ends with the company once I shake their hand. I mean, with the car, obviously, that might be a little different. But like, obviously, my transaction, my relationship with them is. You're correct. I have one, but it's transactional. It has nothing to do with like honesty necessarily, because the moment that happens, I'm literally stopping to deal with them. Like if it's so crazy that like they say that like this is what would stop me from dealing with a company. Like they say they're going to pay for something for me, or like something that they say about the product literally isn't what it can do. That like when I actually have it in my hands, then that's completely different. Because if you ship a product to me and I'm saying I'm paying for something, then that's completely different. Like I'm paying you then. But if my money's not involved, why am I worried about how honest they are?
That's crazy. So you think it's okay? Uh, you
I
think
didn't
it's
say I
okay
think
for
it's
a company to
okay.
say any other lie as long as as
No, I
long as
didn't.
you
I
haven't
didn't.
put money in it yet?
I don't think I'm not saying that them lying morally is okay. I don't but I'm saying
I mean, like,
but
enough for you to like not do
no.
business with them or not trust like what they have to
I don't
say.
think business is about morality. It's about
Like,
it's about a transactional relationship in my mind. I don't see my business dealings of products that I buy as like this moral like that has to be built on this moral foundation. If I was actually doing business, like going into business and putting my money with Tesla, then maybe. But like, no, I don't. Honesty is not something I expect out of someone who's selling me something.
but I mean, so that's great for most things, but some things you kind of have no choice because, like, a self-driving car is a great example of that because they have to be honest about this is going to keep you safe and alive. Because any mistakes, you won't live to tell about it, or you
Right,
might not live to
right.
tell about it.
But the
So in that
requirement for
way, you
honesty, is literally their responsibility the moment I get the product and have paid them for it, not at the time that they're making press releases.
so how do you know to buy the product? Like, why
What
go
do you
with
mean?
Tesla?
Because
Why not go with any other company?
I'm not going to be the first person to test a Tesla. Like I'm going to talk to other people who have had Teslas and I'm going to see what the product can do before I buy it. That's my duty as the customer.
So as far as
I'm just going to
them,
take their word for it.
as far as the company lying, making like false claims and whatnot, you could care less what kind of crazy things they're promising, as long as you uh,
As long as the
don't
product
buy
says
the generation first, so that way like other people will
no,
test it out and then you can see what they
no,
tested.
as long as the product when I receive it does what they say it was going to do, that's the honesty that I require to do business with someone when I'm buying something from them. The,
Okay, Well, I mean, Tesla literally shipped the Model S without full self-driving. I mean,
Okay,
that's
but but
literally
the
what
but the
happened.
but the Model S wasn't a, when the product launched. They didn't say it has full self driving that you're going to be able to use right now. That was a separate promise that Elon made years ago. That's not the same as a product launch.
But okay, that's fair, and I'm not going to argue that point. But as far as when they make claims that just doesn't affect you in any way,
No, because I don't take press releases seriously like that.
that's crazy. I feel like that seems like a hard place to live. Like, I couldn't
It's just
imagine.
reality.
Well, like I know plenty of companies that don't do that, and then like I can easily put
Uh,
my trust in them, and then like there's no worry. Like I don't have to worry about, oh, like
what
is
major
this
company?
real?
What please name a major company that you deal with that you feel like doesn't overpromise publicly. That's a
What
crazy.
major
Yeah,
what
what
major
you,
company that I mean there's
is
plenty.
there
I mean
any?
like yeah, like Kroger.
So you don't.
I shop there all the time. I've never heard them say they're gonna do anything crazy. There's like a million
Okay. Oh,
companies
okay.
that
Wait.
or
Okay.
maybe
Now we're
other
talking
things
about
that I
something
do
different
with.
though. Now we're talking about something different though, because you said you don't know of them ever doing that. You think then that means that it's most likely the case that that's never happened there?
I've never seen an advertisement from them that
You know Kroger's been
didn't end
around
up
longer
happening.
than you've been or like shopping there, right?
Well, as long as I've been here, I've never seen
Oh,
Tesla.
okay. So as long as they're honest when
What does
you're
that
dealing with them, that's the exact same thing I
what
said.
does that have to do with anything? Like this is the information I'm going off of. Like if they put it
That's
in front of me and I have to either take it as the truth or find out that they're a liar and untrustworthy. Everything that Kroger has put in front of me has never been untrustworthy.
and
So far, I'm
how
good.
did you determine whether or not it was trustworthy?
Because everything has happened. If they said they're gonna have a sale, they're gonna have a sale. If they
Right, but
say that they're closing stores, it's
actually
closing.
engage with them. Right, but you had to actually engage with them to figure out that was a lie. But
Right, right. I have
right,
to like shop there and like, or at least have some
right.
way of knowing. Yes.
So I'm saying the exact same way you said you when Kroger says we're gonna have a sale on this date and then they have a sale. I think you should just base it that way. If either when a product launches and Elon says it's doing this and this, at the time the product launches, I think that's the time you look at what the claims are, what they're claiming for the product versus what it does. To say that in 2014 he promised something that the car doesn't do now is crazy because like Gouda said, he would have to literally be able to predict the future to be able to give you everything you promised by a certain date.
So if he would have to be able to predict the future to give you what you promise, what in the world would ever give him the right to get a future date on when this would happen?
Because he's a
That's
CEO
that's
looking
my exact
because
problem.
he's a CEO like everyone else. He's trying to drum up interest in this idea
Exactly.
because that involves money, of course.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying is wrong. Like I don't see how you can argue against that. Like you
I'm
as
not
a
arguing
CEO, you
against it
don't
being
have to do
wrong
that. Kroger doesn't do that. They've never everything they've said they've done, they just do. I can
because
deal with them.
Kroger is
As far as
Kroger.
self-driving cars, I actually don't know of any self-driving. Like GM, I've never seen,
Kroger is selling
you know,
groceries.
GM, do they have they made claims that I heard that they didn't do? I don't
Kroger
know. I might have to look into it.
isn't Kroger a grocery store?
Yeah, Kroger just does
Right.
go. I'm trying to
Okay.
think of
What
like car companies that I would
they're
trust.
not trying to drum up interest for anything that from investors. That's not how they
Right. That's
operate.
why I'm trying to think of like what other car company. I mean, obviously Google I don't like. They were one of the ones.
There, I think
Tesla's one of them. What other self-driving car companies?
I
I don't
think
know.
you've
Like
mentioned
there's
it.
those are the only ones I've heard of.
I think you've mentioned it when we were talking about it before, but like tech definitely is a lot different because when people invest in tech, they are asking for those dates. They're asking for those kinds of estimates because that's what's going to determine who they go with a lot of times. That a lot of that has to do like if I'm investing in you and you tell me I don't know when I'll have self-driving done and I go to other people who look just as talented as you and they say they can get it done in 5 years, I'm more likely to consider the person who says 5 years. I'm
And
not
you think that's morally correct to
I didn't say that was
allow
more
that to happen?
I didn't say that was morally correct, but
Then what
I'm
are
not the
you
art
arguing exactly? I just don't
because
understand.
you're acting as if we can change those things. Like
We can.
we
You
don't
we
change
literally write laws. Like it's
oh my
illegal to say hey, buy this cryptocurrency. Meanwhile, like you have a deal. I just found that out today. You can't do that. It should be illegal to say we're gonna have full self-driving cars by 2022 and not even be anywhere close to it. Like
It
we
should
can
so it
definitely
should be
change
so
that.
it should be illegal to make estimates.
It should be illegal to have the knowledge that you can't make a deadline but make
How,
it anyways.
what makes you
Have a
think he knew?
business
What
deal.
makes you think he knew that beforehand?
Because the manufacturers give you stuff, there is every step of the way they give you like hardcore like timelines of what they can do. You can't actually do a business with a company that gives you false timelines. Like Tesla's the most outer, like they're the last part of the product. So like they can do it with like us because we're the dumb like
Right, yeah,
we're
we're
just the
just gonna
consumer.
consumer,
But
yeah.
like his manufacturers have to give him real timelines. The manufacturers have to get real timelines from their employees on when they're going to show up. Everyone has to give real life estimates that
And you think
aren't
and you
too
think
far
those
from false.
and you think those estimates are always correct.
No, but I think if you knowingly give a false estimate just to string someone
But
along
but
financially
it's my
to
point
keep
though.
them in the
Why
game,
I
I
keep
think
asking
that's
you that.
wrong.
What makes you think he knew? If that's hold on a second. You just said that it's possible that the people he even get estimates from possibly could be wrong about their estimates through no fault of their own. But you're faulting him for having the exact same problem. How is that possible? You're saying
Because
he could
I'm
be getting
saying
incorrect timelines, and you still think he's responsible for the timeline he gave?
yes, correct. Like one,
Okay.
like we said earlier, it's impossible to predict the future, so he should have no right to give a timeline from 10 if he doesn't know
Okay.
for sure.
By that
If he
logic, but
did,
by that logic, then
hold on.
manufacturers should
If
not
he
give
did
timelines
get
either. Then
promised, right? If he did get promised these timelines, he should have just he should have just made the ones that he knew were actually real. Like actually I can guarantee you also he's not we're not anywhere close to the self-driving thing. Like it's not possible.
not.
Like he did not only did the manufacturers not know that it wasn't going to be possible, but he didn't know that there was going to be all these law problems and stuff. And like that I will give to him. But like
Okay,
he
so you're
he
admitting that
said the
part of the
model S
timeline
would
problem isn't his
release
fault.
in a certain way. When it released, it didn't release. He does this to get people to invest in his company, to basically pay him money because they believe what he says.
Okay.
He had no right to say it, and that's just it. Like,
I,
how
I
is
mean,
what
I
other
mean
argument is there?
he had a right to say it. Like I said, you said it's not against the law to have estimates about a product, and I don't think that if you asked Elon, he would say he in his mind when he said 2014 that he knew that that was just in no way possible. Like I don't know that he would say that. So like to assume all of those things without even knowing like what the actual process was for what deadlines he got, what other material, all that other shit that we have no idea of, to just be like, yeah, he intentionally misled me. Like how did you get there? Like I understand that you're upset that the deadline is not met. I understand that completely. But to hold him responsible for all the other things you just said are possibly out of his control and then be mad about it at him about it makes no sense to me.
You know what? You're right. You're completely right. So, like, after this happened, I was like, you know what? Let's give him another shot. Maybe he was just given the wrong information. But something else happened. The fucking Cybertruck. The Cybertruck was blatant fraud. I don't know like how he's not like sued for this. Like
What?
he said he
How would you be
released
sued for that?
the truck didn't run. Like it was like a
Who?
cardboard cutout with like it
No
was like
one
a
had bought
skeleton with wheels.
no
He
one had
was
bought the
selling it
no one bought the
as
truck.
but he's doing this for investor money. He's selling his company's future value. That is his product. Like
Yeah,
it's not
but
only the truck, but his real product is his company value.
yeah, but
And to get
the
him
risk of that, to your point, is that if people see, like you said, if he overpromises and he rolls a truck out there and it's busted like it was, right? In theory, that should be enough for people to not deal with him, right? Or at least deal with him, not deal with him on the Cybertruck. So,
Yeah, well, we
so
know how that went. He's still popular as ever, so
okay,
that's not the case.
so you're not really mad because there is a consequence. The consequence is people like you are not going to deal with him. But that doesn't seem to be enough. You also want it to be against the law. If the consequence is people won't deal with him, why do you need to like reinforce another consequence on him? He's already lost you as a customer. That was his consequence.
Because I mean,
That's
like
how
we have
capitalism
all
works. That's how
he's
capitalism works.
tricking. I mean, you don't just let the masses. I mean, we have an entire financial system that
How is
prevents.
busting up his own truck tricking people? Everyone can see it doesn't work. How you can't force people to be on your side of it. If they're dumb enough to look at the Cybertruck and be like, yeah, I still want a Cybertruck, that's on them. You
The
can't protect
United
them from
States
that.
government does not agree with you. I'm just saying, our entire law system does not agree with you. It has many
If
laws
that was
that
true,
are literally
if that
built
was true,
strictly on protecting the interest of the masses, even though it's not necessarily like in best
that's
interest of the
no,
company.
that's fine, but that's not the case of press conferences when we're talking about tech companies. So the law is not
Right.
the law is not on your side on that one. It's not. In other instances,
Not
it might.
yet,
Not
but it could be. I mean,
not
it's not in the
yet.
realm of impossibilities, like at all, I don't think.
I think at a certain point, I think there needs to just be some general realization from people that press conferences are just that press. Like
I mean, there's literally false advertising. Like that's close to what he's doing. It's very close, but because he didn't release. Like that's one of many
the
laws that are meant to
the
protect. I think
Cybertruck's
this
not
should just be
the
one of them.
Cybertruck's not released, is it?
No, but like I said, his product isn't. That's where he tricks people. He thinks people think the product is like him, but now I realize the product is his inflation of his company value. And you can tell, like, his how much, what was Tesla's PE? You were just talking to me about this.
Yeah, like
It
a
was
thousand.
so ridiculous.
Yeah, like a
He is
thousand.
clearly gaming the system, and now he's so filthy rich that we're all gonna have a worse life now. Like, so, like, it's hard for me to like be like, oh, it's okay what he's doing. Like, I'll buy a
How
Tesla
are you
anyways. Like,
how are
no,
you
like,
having a how are you
why
having
would
a
I
worse
buy this
life?
guy's Tesla when I can buy GM's whatever? And GM, at least there's no like who owns GM? Like I don't know like one dude who's gaming the GM system so good that except well they did get that government bailout which is pretty cheap.
But
But I mean,
that's just it though. Like you said yourself. Then I'd rather deal with GM. Okay, then deal with GM. Like that's literally you just explained choice. That's all that is. Like and for you to be mad that like other people still have the choice to go with a bad product is crazy to me. Like I understand that you don't like the way he advertises his product. That I'm not arguing that. But the crazy part is he hasn't really false advertised the Cybertruck because to your point, it was a bomb in front of everyone. So it was very clear advertising. This truck sucks. Look, I'm saying it can do something, it can't do it. So that's a product he put forward in a shitty way. For you to be upset that people could buy that, like I don't understand why you are trying to shield those people. If they have that much money to buy a Cybertruck, but not enough sense to realize a Cybertruck probably isn't what he's promising, then I don't understand what we're doing here.
I mean, it's probably best if most people don't waste their money on scams. Like, right?
I don't think that's a scam
How is that not a scam?
because
If
he literally
the
broke it.
product
He
of
broke
your
it in front of
company
everyone. He broke it. He
if your
literally broke
product
it.
is just to inflate your company value, how is that like adding to society? You're just scamming people out of their money. I mean, eventually these
A
people
scam.
will see this was a huge waste and it went nowhere. And eventually, if Tesla doesn't
Yeah,
actually release something useful,
sure.
it'll all fall apart. Like,
Well, I would say that you're absolutely right about that, except for the fact that there's a lot of people who have bought Teslas who are happy with their Teslas. Like, so they don't feel like I know those people, if they're happy with it, obviously they don't feel like they've been scammed. Now, other people who might be waiting on those other products, you're absolutely right. They might just take him to the woodshed on that, because if he doesn't produce eventually, yeah, you're right. Then it does become like a question of like, or is this ever gonna happen? But a lot of times, I feel like a lot of times those people will just blame like you know like the stuff we talked about, like deadlines, weird product releases. I mean, obviously we had COVID and a whole supply chain shutdown, so I'm sure a lot of people are going to assume, and we're going into a recession. We're just going to assume that like we're going to just tack on 5 years to whatever Elon's planning, because obviously no one knows what the next 5 years are going to look like in terms of like investments and being able to get a hold of certain materials. So like, I mean, maybe eventually, but I feel like people in tech probably have some leeway in at least the consumers probably give Elon a lot of leeway because the thing that he's promising is cooler to them than how boring it is and upsetting it is to wait.
So, what is your point on that exactly?
That I don't think people care about it the way you care about it, and I think a lot of people would disagree with you that he shouldn't be able to do business because they feel like the things that if he's able to deliver on even parts of what he's promising, that will be good enough and that will have been worth the wait to them.
I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't be able to do business. I definitely never said that. I think he shouldn't be able to make like false promises knowing that they're wrong. And like the Cybertruck was a complete example of that.
Yeah. But the problem is that, like you said, he did game the system because the way he presented the idea was in a press conference, which is not advertising because he's not paying for the right for people to like see and hear this thing. Like people are coming there because they want to see what he's talking about.
Wait, so
So
Valero,
like,
Valero, you think he
That's
he
different
you think
than an
he
yeah,
ad.
wait, do you think he had
yeah.
them shoot the Cybertruck knowing that it was gonna break the Cybertruck?
Yeah, I mean, of course.
What?
Like, there's
So
no
what?
way he
So
thought
wait, wait,
that
wait,
was a real
wait,
working
wait, wait,
truck.
wait. So wait, hold on a second. So what? How does it benefit him to have him parade a product in front of other people and then have it fail? How does that what benefit is that?
I mean, he took a risk and it didn't work. Like, that's
If
what
he
happened.
if
He,
he took
he
the
thought
risk,
it might have worked, but then
okay,
it didn't. But he
okay,
knew that there was no real
wait,
truck under there.
wait, wait,
Like,
wait, wait. How could he have thought that it was gonna work, but also known that it wasn't gonna work? Which one is it?
there's no way you just okay. I mean, like the truck is not even close to finish. Like he knows that it's probably not gonna work. Like so,
Okay.
but he's like, okay, we'll just do it. We'll put what we got out there. We'll work around it. That's definitely of something someone would do. Like you know it doesn't work, but you try it anyways. Maybe you'll be able to get through the demonstration or just make it seem like it's all right and everything will be fine. But it didn't work. Like I feel like that's a pretty sane game plan. I've known plenty of people who have
So you think his
made
hope
it
was
through
just
the
to
skin of their teeth by that.
so you think his hope was just to make it through the presentation?
Yeah, that's what that like robot video I just saw from him. Like that
Okay.
robot made it look like
And
it
if
just made it through the presentation.
well,
I was
well,
like,
if
all right.
that's the goal anyway, I think most people watching the press conference, I would say most people would understand that. Like when I if I personally watch press conferences,
They don't.
oh okay, I
They buy the Tesla's so it's crazy. Like everyone loves it. Like they
I think
believe
I think they
100%.
will. I think they believe it'll be great when it actually gets to people. I don't think people see something that looks finished and polished on a press conference and assume that now it's ready in stores tomorrow. I don't think
The
anyone thinks
stock
that way.
price does. People
People
see that and it's like, holy shit,
dude,
I'm
people
buying Tesla stock. This is gonna be great in 10 years.
right in
That's
10
that's his
you
whole
just said
game.
it. You just said it in 10 years. So people are buying it based on what they see, knowing
That's because that's what he's promising. He said
right,
the whatever stock's gonna be or the whatever product's gonna be ready in 10 years, knowing that he's not even close. Like he doesn't even know if he's gonna finish it or even bother
So okay,
finishing
so
it.
so let me ask you a question. You don't think that if someone's in the process of completing something, that they should ever bring out any type of prototype or anything like that, and ever give demonstrations until it's absolutely finished? Then,
When did I say that? I
because
said
it
they
because
should
isn't
not make a promise about when everything's
I'm
gonna be
no no
working,
no. I was talking about
knowing
the
that they
Cybertruck.
don't even
No
have
no no the
a
cyber. I was
working
talking about the
plan.
Cybertruck.
Period.
No, I was talking about the Cybertruck. I was talking about the Cybertruck. So like the cyber.
For the Cybertruck, he should have been like, "This is a not fully working version, but we're gonna test it out here today," which is exactly what they did. It was not fully working. That
Did he?
was essentially more or less a test and an experimental version, and it didn't work.
Okay, so
Like,
you just want every press conference to come with a disclaimer.
yeah, I feel like it's just human like decency and morals to expect that when you're talking to someone that they would tell the truth, and if they don't. then obviously, like, rule number one for me would be like, yeah, I'm not gonna buy whatever you're selling. Rule number two, I mean, that would be nice is if they're making crazy money off this, like, it would be nice if, like, if they weren't making money off this since it's a scam.
Do you assume the people that you talk to, like day to day, like that you meet out in the world, do you assume that they're honest?
Yes, I give everyone
Okay.
the benefit of
Yeah.
the doubt until they
Okay.
give me a reason to
Now,
not be.
so your opinion on this makes a lot more sense to me then, because I assume the exact opposite.
Right, I can tell. And like it seems like a terrible world to live in to just think that every company, every CEO, and everyone is like this. When
No, no,
that's
no,
just
no,
not
no,
true. Like there are
no.
like companies that don't do stuff like that,
So I
and
don't.
you can use them.
So I don't assume that. I don't assume anything. I let the people or companies or whatever I'm dealing with show me what they are and what side they fall on based on my interactions with them. So I'm not as I don't go in. I think like that was why I was surprised by your
I
disappointment
don't.
because this assumption that like you hope that people are on it. Like I hope people generally are honest too, but I don't assume that they are. Like so I let them and their actions relay that to me. And that's why it's shocking to me that like you're like well it was shocking to me that you were saying like he wasn't honest and I was like okay well then if you feel like that all he did was just show you who he was like what's the big deal now you know you don't want to deal with him and you just seemed like appalled by it but like I think
It's crazy to me.
yeah
Yeah.
people are dishonest I'm just saying I try to like start with neutrality so that it doesn't surprise me either way it's just it just is what it is.
But like, yeah, it just seems like you don't think it's wrong or anything, but you just think it is what it is, exactly. And I just feel like that's wrong. Like
Well
it's it's not
it can be
just
both it
it
can
is
be
what it
both
is.
it can be
It's
both
literally like not good,
it
like the
can
opposite of good.
it can be both, and I also don't have to like be upset about it just because I hear it. Like again, the reality is a lot of wrong things happen in the world all the time. If I was if I was as like peeved about Elon Musk as you are, and all the other things that I thought were wrong in the world, I would spend just way too much time on it. It doesn't make any sense. Like that doesn't seem at all productive. I feel like I can do a lot more just realizing that certain things are what they are and then working to better me and the people around me so that eventually I can have a positive impact on the world. Like I just can't assume everyone's great and then be upset when they're not.
Like what you said was interesting is like you wait till someone proves you otherwise. How has this guy not proved you otherwise? That I guess that's my real question at this point.
I don't think he's proven anything because, like I said, my judgment on him would be product based. It wouldn't be press conference based. I really don't care what he has to say about when he thinks things are going to get done because again, there's no way he can know that. Like I don't think it's reasonable to even have like that kind of deadline as a consumer. Now, as a CEO, like does that make sense? I don't know. I have no
No,
idea.
so you're saying that he can lie to you sometimes and you're okay, but other
He's
times it's not okay?
what are you talking about?
Because you said if he whatever he said, you said you don't care what he says in a press conference.
I don't.
So like why? Why? I just don't understand like why? Why would you care?
I don't
Why
care
would
what he.
you not? Why
Let
would you
me
disregard that information that he shows you?
because whatever you have to say about what you're going to do is really meaningless until you actually do it. That's why.
Oh, okay. I guess that just goes back to the point that you just expect
Yeah.
everyone to be lying. So,
No, I
right.
don't. No, no,
Okay.
no. I didn't. Okay, well, you keep doing that, and I didn't say that. I expect. I have a neutral outlook on most people. I have no idea whether you're gonna lie to me or not. I expect some CEOs to lie. CEOs specifically, just because my experience with most people at that level or like slightly below them are the people that I've had to deal with. Like, there's a tendency to not tell all of the truth. That just seems to be a part of that job description in some cases. But for people, no, I don't really have an expectation of you necessarily you're gonna lie or you're necessarily gonna be truthful. I just deal with you, and then through my interactions with you, I can usually get a sense for whether or not you tell the whole truth or not.
So, and that brings me right back to the same question. Why doesn't the interaction of seeing the press
Because
conference and he
he's
says
not my
things that are
friend.
not
That's
true?
because he's not my friend.
What is not having what does being your friend have to do with any of
Because
this? Like,
because my
I'm just
relationship
wondering.
because my
You
relationship with
you
him
said you don't care about what this guy says
Yeah.
until he shows you that he says something untruthful, and then he
No,
says
I
something
didn't say that about
untruthful.
I didn't say that about Elon Musk. No, I said that
No,
about
that's what you said about everyone. That's how you
yeah,
just
about people with when I'm interacting with them like in relate like face-to-face relationships. I'm not interacting with Elon like that.
you're watching a video. What's the difference? Yeah, okay,
What's the
yeah.
difference?
What's the difference between
Wait.
interacting with him face to face and him and
No,
you
no.
seeing a video of him?
Well, if I was interacting with him face to face, and then I would know him personally, and I would expect more of him. I don't know Elon personally, so I don't expect that level of consistency from him. And I
So
really don't.
you're expecting him to lie? Like
No,
that doesn't surprise you?
no, I'm not expecting anything from him. I will take the information he says in, and then in 2022, if there's an update, I'll take that too. If the product's out, then I might assess the product at that time. It's not a relationship with Elon. It's about the company because I'm buying the product. That's my only relationship with Elon. Quite literally, I only care if the product that you produce is of substance. If you make promises about the product along the way, that doesn't do me any good until I actually get the product.
That's interesting. I feel like I guess I see it as if you're the type of CEO or business runner that would make false promises just to get more sales, essentially, I
Okay,
feel like you would also be probably pushing the people in your company too hard and forcing them, maybe even to tell
that's
you
yeah,
false things.
yeah.
And so, like,
That's
I'm just
probably the
not
relationships
gonna
of
trust
most.
the product quality. I'm not gonna trust what you told me it could do. I'm not gonna trust really much of what you have to say because I'm assuming that your company is bullshit, just like what
So
you have sold,
I
like
I
essentially.
I think that's probably been the case for most phone companies at some point in their like during their inception that they were pushing very hard and they might not have had all of the correct deadlines. I think that's happened in probably any company that has been a tech company to the point that we're making about tech because that's how that business has run for a long time, like that industry. I'm not saying every tech company does that, but I'm saying a lot of them, especially the top ones, like we mentioned Google. I know you've had Google products before. You think Google has never released a bad product because of bad deadlines, of rushing, of trying to get out things by a deadline that they probably shouldn't have? That happens at
No,
all
I
major
don't think that.
companies.
Yeah, Stadia, man, Google's like one of the worst of them, actually. The
Okay,
only thing they do good
but
with
do you see what
is
I said though?
searching.
Like you're willing to deal, like you've known that about Google, but you still bought Google products even though you had other choices to buy. So like
No,
what? So this
Google,
obsession.
like didn't I explain that earlier, or was that before we
No,
started recording?
no. You said that about Google, like like you can't just not deal with Google. You have a choice about phones though. I know you've bought a Google phone before, so like you chose
Yeah, their
Google.
phone, that's like a whole nother department. It's like completely different. Like,
Okay, so now you're separating the companies and their honesty by department.
yeah, I mean, that's how they're run by department,
Okay, but
especially like on the Google
they don't
level.
all roll up to the same CEO who approves most of those things.
I mean, I honestly don't even know who the CEO of Google is. Like, I don't, yeah, I know what each department like promises. I see tons of stuff about that, but I don't even know who the CEO is.
So
So,
is
like,
it
I can only
okay?
judge off the
Okay,
department.
so to be fair, is it possible since you haven't really managed to judge the CEO or you have no interaction with the CEO at all that you could be in violation of the very principle you seem so upset about? Because if you don't know what he's like, how do you know he's ethical? Just because you haven't heard him be unethical, that's not reasonable.
It's kind of not reasonable. You know, like what I do, I give everyone the benefit of the doubt until they show me a reason. The CEO hasn't shown me a reason. I don't even know who the
Wait,
guy is. You
okay,
know who has shown me a reason? Whoever's running the Google Waymo department. So they're done with me. Whoever's
okay,
running the Google Stadia department, they're done. If Google ever says they're coming
okay,
out with a video
but
game ever again, I'm gonna be like
okay,
bullshit.
but the Google CEO employs those people and is still employing those people that you feel like don't do a good job. He's endorsing them, but you're still fine with him? How? How did you make that how did you make that work?
I guess in that case, it really depends how many good systems he has because Google has a lot of good things
Oh,
going for it. Tesla,
okay.
on the other hand, doesn't. Like, what
Okay.
else do they suck at? The solar wall. I remember he said Everyone's gonna have a solar roof. It's gonna be cheap as hell. The same thing. It didn't happen. There's a major problem with his solar roofs. It just literally can't be mass produced, and I'll never be able to afford one. Same with his battery wall. He said the same thing. Same with his satellite link thing. So like this is a reoccurring thing with Tesla. So
Okay.
like if every single department was like this, I'd be like, okay, yeah, this whole company is garbage. Just like Tesla, I'd be like, this is bad. But like Google does have a lot of good things that they do good. Tesla, I don't think they almost do anything good. I think he just pumps it up and people love to buy it because of the name and but
So
otherwise I
you
think the
don't think
company itself is
you
garbage.
don't think the people who have Teslas enjoy their Teslas then? You don't think that they feel like he's done a good job?
No, I think they buy it and they like the name and but no, I don't think the Teslas are the best self-driving
No, 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 no,
cars
no,
and
no,
I
no.
think most
That's
people
not what I
who own
asked you.
them also know that they're not the best
No, no,
self-driving
that's not
cars.
what I asked you. I said,
Yeah, yeah, I would say most people know who have a Tesla that there's a better
no,
self-driving
that's
car
also
company.
not what I'm asking. I said if
Yes,
they
I think
enjoy
they
it.
enjoy it, sure. I never
Okay.
said that they wouldn't. They enjoy it because of the name and they're around
But I'm saying
fucking
if
Elon
but I'm
essentially.
saying if other people assess Tesla the way you assess Tesla, then you're legitimizing Tesla in some way because you're saying that those people by their own standard feel like Tesla has done a good job because they enjoy the product that they got.
Yeah, yeah, that is correct. Yep.
Okay, so what's the problem? Like, why is that? Why is it like how is it that they've not done anything right then? If other people have assessed that they have, oh, and you're not
I mean,
delivering
like
this product anyway, like you're not gonna buy it, obviously. Like,
when you have that much of a reach, there's gonna be someone who likes you. Like even if you're the worst guy ever, you're gonna have someone who's like, "Hey, I love that guy." Like definitely found that out in the last 10 years in politics. So like there are gonna be people who just are gonna be diehards and
yeah,
whatnot. But that has nothing to do with the actual product quality and or the
sure,
quality of the company. And I think that's what they have really showed me, like that they're not trustworthy. So like at this point,
and
I
that's
can't
fine.
imagine what Tesla would show me where I'd be like, yeah, I
I
can't wait,
I
or I believe that.
and that's fine. Like if you assess people and companies that exact same way, and you feel like that's consistent because obviously people are running the companies, I understand that. Then fine. Like I understand. I just think that companies are a completely different entity because the people within them are operating under rules and guidelines or premises that they would not normally operate under in a lot of cases in like their personal relationship, or it's possible that they operate differently because literally it's its own entity. So like I don't see it being reasonable like assessing those two things this or those two people the same. Like I wouldn't assess someone that I'm like potentially just going to talk to and see if they're going to be my friend the same way I would Tesla as an organization and therefore Elon Musk. Like that that just seems unreasonable to me. If you feel like it's reasonable, fine, but I just feel like it sets up a very long line. If you're willing to do some research into the companies you think are ethical, I'm betting you that you could find a good amount of scandals around most companies you think are ethical. And I feel like if you take your logical like if you take your thought process to the logical conclusion, then you would basically be in a world where you can't buy anything. Like I don't see you being able to literally buy a single thing.
And I don't think that's true. Like I know for sure there are companies out
I know
there
you don't
that
I know
don't
you
run
don't think
that
that's
way.
true because you also have already said that you have a generally positive outlook on most people. So like I feel like in your worldview, it's not even possible what I'm suggesting to you. And I'm saying just consider that it's possible. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's true. You might be right. You might be right that most companies are ethical, but I think you owe it to yourself to at least consider the possibility that you could be wrong on that.
Well, you're saying all companies lie, and I'm saying they don't, and
I'm
you can
saying
use the ones that don't.
I'm
That's
saying
literally it.
I'm saying I think it's very possible that most companies lie. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't. Okay, you said most. Is it all or most? Because I agree. Sure,
I don't
most
know.
could be. I don't
Yeah.
have a statistic on
Yeah, I don't know.
who's lying, but
Neither
I
do I.
know
Neither do I.
there's always a good significant portion of companies that don't run that way,
What
and you
like
can use
but
them.
okay, so then maybe I should rephrase. I from the companies that I've dealt with, I know that that's prevalent. I think that makes me believe that it's possible that a large amount of companies also operate that way because the ones I've seen have been successful and still doing that. My question to you is, are you even willing to admit that it's possible? Because that's really what I'm suggesting. I'm not. I don't like you said. I don't
Possible
know.
that what?
Is it possible that a lot of companies, most companies, maybe over 50% of the companies, operate in a way that you would find morally unsavory, but you don't know it yet?
That's a pretty like broad statement. Sure, like that's possible. Like if 50% of companies and operate in an unsavory way,
Yeah,
yeah, I
well,
feel like
well,
it's
that
pretty
would be
broad.
Well, I said over 50% because that would be most. That's why I was trying to just like put a
You
number to
said
most.
50%. I mean, like, all right, that's like I mean,
Well, 50
neither of us
it
know
would be
how many companies operate this way.
right.
Like
Yeah,
I know from my experience, and I found companies that don't do that.
sure.
So now I know, like, okay, the companies that
Well,
do it are bad. Like,
well, I
this
would
is the good way.
well, I would ask you, how could you possibly know without actually being in that company that they don't run that way to some degree?
By the business that I do with them and how it affects me.
Do you think
The
so? Do you
Tesla and the company and Google and all these things, like when part of their business is, and I invest in stocks, so like I listen to these press conferences and stuff. So like when I see them doing this stuff, that's their business. They're selling their company value. And like if I see that they're lying about that, then that's bad. On the other hand, in my actual career as a security technician, I go to a lot of trade shows and talk to a lot of different companies, and I find some companies that tell me anything I want to hear. Like they'll say anything. Maybe they won't say anything, but they'll tell me exactly what they think might get me to buy it, and then that's it. And then once I actually use the product and really like start using it for like maybe even like a year or more, then I understand the true nature of their company. And then I know, okay, this company is bullshit. But there are definitely companies out there that have always been straight up with me. They always are reliable. They've never given me bullshit, and they're just run well. Like
wait?
there's just not like a problem.
So in those instances, people promised you the world and you still tested the product,
Yeah, I mean, like, there's not really
but you
much other way to go about it, and
but you
like,
don't think
especially in my industry.
but you don't think that's possible to do with the car that we should do that with Elon and cars? That we should test the products first?
Well, like, if I could go back, I would have not done that. Like, I feel like dealing with those companies that were just like making these promises and just never living up to them, I feel like I could have gotten years of my life back, like in total, dealing with
Yeah.
bullshit products. So, like, yeah, I feel like that's if there's any way in life that that could have been avoided, I would want that to happen. Yes.
Yeah, I just think that's a part of human nature, honestly. I feel like competition is going to normally make people do wacky things, even if it might be morally reprehensible. I'm not like advocating that we should just allow that, but I'm saying that I think that that's a a sort of a subset. Like, again, I don't necessarily think Elon making promises is morally reprehensible. I think there's always going to be someone on the fringe, and there's going to be people like who are right in between, like right on the line. And I feel like Elon is, if I had to give him a moral rating, it would probably be right on the line. Like, I think he probably has good intentions from what I can see, but to your point, like, no, I don't think it's reasonable to act like you know you're going to produce a Cybertruck or produce full self-driving by a certain year, especially when you know that like the law is going to be a little wonky. You can't guarantee that for sure. But I think knowing that is also the responsibility of the people watching. Like, as a consumer, you need to have a responsibility before you pay your money for a product. Like, just lean on the product and be like, oh, he said it, so I'm gonna assume that it's just true. Is just crazy, especially when the thing we're talking about isn't even out yet. Like, so yeah, I feel like there's a lot more responsibility that should be placed on consumers to know what the fuck's going on.
It's funny. I feel like we keep going back to the same thing, and you always end up saying the same thing. Like you just think it's normal for Or like you're just more okay with it, right? It's hard for me. Like,
Just
what
just
do you
because
say about it?
just
Like, do
be
you think it's
yeah.
normal or okay, or like what exactly is
No,
it again?
no, I don't think it's right. I'm in my perfect world, people would not make promises they know or don't know or are not sure that they can't deliver. No, that's not my perfect world. But I realize that it happens. It just seems like you're like crazed by the fact that it doesn't bother me at the level that it bothers you. I've just realized that that's how the world works. Like I'm
It's
that
just crazy that you would still choose to buy and work with them, even though there's other options.
because that's not how I assess companies. I told you that. Like I don't assess companies as people. I assess them as as companies. And again, I feel like I have more of a responsibility to be asking questions of the product and of the company than Elon does to tell me the truth when it's about him, raising money or raising capital or whatever, or making me feel good. I don't care about that. I don't care about Elon telling me the truth from a press conference perspective when he's talking about estimates, because I don't. All of that crap is just that's wind. That's hopes and dreams.
But like, why not go with another company then?
Like who?
I don't know, like anyone else.
I
Like,
well I also might just like the Tesla's product better. I mean obviously I don't have a Tesla. I don't know, like I definitely want one, like a Tesla, like the Teslas I've seen, like I actually really liked, but I also haven't tested one yet, which I'm definitely going to do before I ever like bought a Tesla. But I would also maybe look at other cars if by the time I'm ready to buy, like, one that could have self-driving. I would probably just not just test Tesla. Like that would be irresponsible. So like it just the same way you'd buy any car. Like I'm not probably just gonna look at one car and just be like, yep, I'm buying it now. Like yeah, I would still test them, but like
so what
if the
about
products,
long-term investments? Like, would you invest in Tesla? Like, let's say you buy like a 10-year, like, would you go into like a 10-year investment plan with Tesla?
no. Well, one,
Would you go into any sort of investment plan with Tesla?
no, they're massively overpriced.
Okay, why not? Why wouldn't you said they're overpriced?
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
makes you say that?
I I I I like am when I invest in companies, it's like very core value investing standards. Like very like low PE. Like I want something where the market's value versus what they're producing is like skewed to my upside. So I would like them to be producing more than the company is valuing them than the market's valuing the company for. And that's almost never been the case with Tesla, except for when they were probably like super duper small. Like their PE, like you said, like I told you before, we were talking about it like some months ago. Their PE ratio is like was like 1,000 a few months ago. Like I am not touching that company just because I feel like in order to justify the price that Tesla's at now, they have to produce at such a high level that seems unreasonable to me for most large companies, that I just don't see it being like, at best case scenario, I would be breaking even by putting in my money right now at like high prices. So like that's just a fundamental
So,
like investment process that I just would never touch Tesla,
so
unless it dropped significantly, then maybe.
would you ever invest in like a company like I don't know, like not like a startup, but just like a company like I don't even know how to explain it. Because, like, obviously, okay, like Tesla is making promises that are like 10 years out, and then they get investors to come in.
Hmm.
Like, obviously, other companies, I don't know, not necessarily make promises, but yeah, other companies do the same thing.
Right.
Would you ever invest in a company based on what they say they could ever do or in that way? Or is all your investments strictly just like mathematical based on like,
No, I mean, I would not be investing unless I was like uber rich, which I even now, even then, I would be sort of sketch on it. Yeah, I'm not looking to invest in companies so I can get some massive. I'm not a venture capitalist. Like I'm just a regular investor who wants to make a better than average return. So no, I'm never looking for like home run companies. Like you'll never hear me say I made like a killing in the market today. No, like that's just not happening. I'm not that guy, so absolutely not.
okay, interesting. I
And
mean, I guess
and
that
part of
also
and
goes
part
into
of your
show why you don't care
well,
if
right,
people say lies because you're
exactly,
literally not even taking that into any sort of consideration
ex
whatsoever.
exactly. That's
I
exactly
would
right.
wonder though what you would feel if you were in my position, like with my companies, where you don't get a chance to test the product until you buy it yourself
I
and have to
I
live
would
through it.
I would probably never go into that business because, to your point, it requires a lot more trust than I'm willing to grant without seeing a product or like actual evidence first. That's why I don't put myself in that situation. I just probably couldn't handle that.
Interesting.
That's
You
just not for
couldn't
me,
do it.
man. I can't do
So
it.
you are a low risk individual. So you just expect.
Absolutely. I
So
love
you
that.
are expecting everyone to lie in a way. So you've
No,
already
no.
built up your expectations and your safety nets around the
Uh,
possibility
no,
of that
no.
happening.
No. I build up my expectations to simply just do as well as I would like, even if best case scenario, if even if worst case scenarios happen.
I
It's
mean,
it's
that's
it's
the
pri-
same thing I just said.
No, it's not
And
because
the
I'm not.
worst case
No,
scenario
no,
is
no, no,
that
no,
not being truthful or
no.
just being wrong about
Right, but
whatever they're saying.
the difference is I'm not expecting that to happen. I'm just pricing it in. That's all.
That's the same thing. If you're
No, it's
pricing it in,
not.
that you're expecting it.
No, I know because I'm pricing in positive movement too, like with investments. I'm not expecting
That's
every investment,
fine.
but I'm
That
saying
doesn't mean you're not pricing in what you just said. You just said you're pricing it in. If you're pricing it in, you're expecting it. Like this is
no, I'm not simultaneously expecting good and bad things. I'm just
someone who
for the
doesn't
same thing.
expect that would never price it in. Why would you price it in if you don't expect it then? That doesn't make sense.
Oh, okay. So I sorry. I see what you're saying now. Yeah, I expect it to happen at some point. The difference is I'm not sure with what it will happen with. So I think it's yes, to your point, it's safer then to just price it in for everything, and then whenever the thing it is that pops up, I'm just not surprised.
Right.
So
And
yeah, I
that's
see what you're saying.
exactly what I was
I
trying to
was
explain.
I understand what you're saying. I thought you were saying like I'm expecting it with every single thing, and I was gonna say, well, no, I don't expect everything I do to be bad. I just like in general, I just know I've like my life and like what I like to do is set up in a way where even if that happens, it's not going to bother me so much that I can't still live my life and be happy and do all the things I want to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes exact sense. That seems to be basically what you've been more or less getting at this entire time. Is that yeah, you are basically right. Not, I guess, expecting 100% that everyone is going to show their worst or just be the worst or just let you down.
Right. Yeah.
But you have already prepared for that and would not be surprised if that happened in any
Sure.
way.
Yeah. Sure.
And whereas me, I'm coming from the opposite direction where I'm expecting everyone to say or do whatever they say they're gonna do until they give me a reason not to, and then I go to your point and where your position where I'm like, all right, well, I'll just go around it, which is a risk. It's literally like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
risky that way, but it could pay off
But
if
that,
then like
but isn't
I
that
don't
your
have to price
investment?
any of this in.
Isn't that your investment strategy too? Obviously, it's more risky than what I just described for mine. Like that,
Yeah, that
we literally mirror what we do in real life.
Yep. It's funny. Yeah, that's exactly how we invest too. Yeah, like I'm more willing to take that chance and yeah, but you're more like, all right, I'll just
Yeah,
price in all
like,
everything that could go wrong and
like when
just
I hear about companies you
take what I
invest
can
in,
get.
I probably think to myself when I hear about your companies like that you invest in, I'm thinking like, fuck, like I could never. And then you probably hear about the companies I invest in and think, holy shit, that's a snore. Like it's
Yeah,
just
in a
stark.
way.
Yeah, it's just like stark differences. Because like, who wants to invest in like fucking? I'm not even gonna name any companies, but like, who wants to invest in companies who have been like around for like 40 years and have like been selling the same shit forever and like they're slightly in decline? Like, who even wants that?
I mean, like honestly, that's not even too bad. But the way you sell your contracts and stuff, I'm just like, man, this sure is safe.
Yeah, yeah, it's super safe.
Like, if I have any sort of like extra leeway to be more risky, like I like the safe way. The safe way is good, and I see value in it, and I will use it for sure. But if I have like anything extra where I won't, no skin off my back if I lose something, I am taking that risk. Like,
But dude, there is skin on your back because Elon, he took it, man. He just ripped the skin right off your back.
oh man, I'm not letting him get the skin. I'm not giving him $1. He's taking enough from me. He's
Oh,
taking my hopes and dreams already.
yeah, he took the world that you thought you would live in.
Dude, in 2014, I was just like, this is. I remember driving to work, and I was just like, I was almost like just shaking my head, like, this is crazy. Like, my life is gonna be great, man. Like, in 10 years, I'm just gonna. I can work anywhere I want. Just wake up, go in my car, take a nap until I get to work, and then just like wake up and be there. This is gonna be the greatest. Like my life is gonna be amazing, and no, that that's not gonna happen. By the time I get a self-driving car, I'll probably be retired. Honestly, like,
Really?
I mean, at the rate this is going, I mean,
I think I'm gonna.
first off,
I wanna get
Wisconsin,
one
I have
before
a
I'm like
feeling they
retired.
won't legalize it. Like, I have a feeling it won't get legalized nationally, and then they'll let the states deal with it. And Wisconsin is so corrupt, no laws can get passed here, so like, we can't. So I have a feeling, unless I move out of Wisconsin, no, all this stuff might not happen until I'm basically dead. Like, yeah, that's what I think at least.
Jesus Christ.
It's the state, yeah, it's the state's fault. But I
Well,
mean, in California, I think, yeah, my life could be different. And like, I think you could feel like there is, like you said, there's betas going on in California. Like, the
yeah.
dream is more possible there in
Sure.
almost
Yeah.
every one of these tech companies, like things that they promise,
Yeah,
which is
see,
funny.
what you missed was I'm the real positive thinker here because you're just like the world isn't what I wanted it to be. This is shit, and I'm just like, man, but look what we have in California. We're getting there. See?
You're just happy with what you have, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
and that's a
Yeah,
nice place to be.
yeah.
But man,
You just gotta
my heart can
appreciate.
get ripped out. It can.
You just gotta appreciate what you've got, man.
My yeah, that's interesting.
There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with that.
that's that's funny. Yeah, it's really does shake down to like personality type,
Yeah. Yep.
which is funny. So yeah, what do you think? Give us your way in. Is Gouda even alive? Is he dead?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
here.
yeah. What do you think? What do you think about where we have come so far?
What do you mean with what?
I mean, obviously, I'm the risky one. He's the more safe one. What do you think about Tesla? Would you buy a Tesla if you could?
No, because I'm not really interested in that type of product, like to be in like in John's camp. But then like I also understand why you would be upset, especially if you invested in them, then like yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you do have a relationship with him because like
Yeah. If you
you're putting
invest,
in
yeah.
money
Yeah.
and like you're saying like, "Oh, okay, like you told me that our relationship together would produce this thing and then it didn't." Like, yeah, why wouldn't you be upset? But like to go back and say like again, like a press conference is not advertising. Like you are not paying for like views or um like I don't know, influence. Like
Yeah.
people come to the press conference to hear what bullshit you have to say because the people from the press have also a business to sell, which is their journalism. So they almost want him to say like weird, crazy, dumb shit because those are good headlines. It's all just like, yeah, it is all unfortunately a little bit corrupt to John's point. But like it's not that people are investing in Tesla because they think it's going to happen. It's like, yeah, they are just investing in a dream and believing that he's the one that's going to like bring it because they've seen him do something with like PayPal or
Yeah.
like Tesla or something like that. Like there are Teslas on the road. They're the first ones to do it. Like it doesn't mean that it's good. But
Right.
that's enough for like some people just to see that oh shit, they were the first one to do it. Then I don't care what the fuck. I don't care if it's gonna be like 20 years or 10 years and whatever they say, I'm in. Like that's just kind of what it is. It's
Yeah.
and I think that the industries are just so different. Like you can't compare like Kroger, like grocery and logistics to tech because tech always has to be on the cutting edge. They
Exactly.
have
Yeah.
to tell lies, basically. So it's just it's
Yeah.
unfortunate that he's in that position. Like if he were a CEO for a different company, I don't know if he would be doing the same things that he's doing right now. But it's just the nature of like where he is. But yeah, I do think it's unfortunate that so many people like take the time to believe and trust like these companies when they come out with these like really like game-changing ideas because yeah, it would be nice to feel like the world is progressing in a way that people say that it is. And then to look like 30 years later and it's not, then it's like, well, fuck. Like, what should I even believe? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't think it's wrong to believe in Tesla, but I also think that everyone should owe themselves a little bit of respect and like just do your due diligence because that it's not about not trusting someone else. It's about just making sure that you're giving yourself the best possible chance, not chance, but like outcome.
Yeah.
And
So, I so if Tesla comes out with what would you be interested in? Like an oven? I don't even know like what Tesla could possibly ever reasonably make that you could be remotely interested in.
the stuff I'm interested from Tesla, they already give to me for free. They're
Like
already telling
what?
me what their ideas for the future are. I don't have to like give them money for that. Like they already told me like everything.
Yeah.
Is
I
there
can see
anything they could ever sell that you would buy from them? Like pay money for?
probably not unless it was like an everyday like tool or appliance that I already use. So, but they
Yeah.
don't make anything like that yet.
Let's say they make like a smart oven. Would you buy it?
I don't need a smart oven, so no. I wouldn't buy
So
that from anybody.
what if your oven broke and you had to buy a new one?
Why? So if a Tesla oven was an option and that was like the normal like go-to, well, I wouldn't like count it out. It would be the same as like so yeah, it would be like I could get a Tesla or a Kenmore or
Yeah.
whatever else is out there.
Just be another option.
Yeah, it wouldn't really matter. It's all an oven at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Interesting. So okay, so you also would so you would buy the Tesla oven if you felt like it compared. Would you buy it like immediately? Like let's say your oven broke today and then you also found out the same day was the release date of the Tesla oven. Would you buy it like immediately if it was like within like your budget range?
No.
You would
But
wait
I
till
wouldn't.
it
I mean, I wouldn't even really know. Like, I need to like see. I need to read the specifications and everything. To like know if it makes sense for me at the time. Like, maybe if I was like living somewhere where I wasn't home a lot and I needed a product that like let me start my oven from like 6 miles away an hour ahead of time, then yeah, maybe I would look into a Tesla oven. I'm just assuming that they would have something like that. But let's say that I am like in a marriage and I have like 5 kids and like cooking isn't really something that like I even like am a part of like on a day-to-day basis, then I could give a fuck like what we get. Let's just get a Walmart oven. Like it really just depends on like
Kroger brand.
what's going on like in my life at the
Yeah.
time.
So, would you didn't answer really if you would get it day one or not. If you found out, like, let's say you went to the store to buy a new oven because yours broke, and right next to the one that you were gonna buy was a Tesla oven for the same price and just had like some like random like gimmicky features, like you said. Would and it's day one. They're like, this just came off the shelf today, and when you were looking side by side at the oven, which one would you pick?
Wait, they both have the same like functions?
Yeah, one is like from like whatever brand, like a brand you've heard of and know, and it's just a normal oven. And the other one's a Tesla oven, same price, and can do everything the normal one, but also has like those like some random like Tesla features or whatever.
They're both gonna do exactly what I need them to do, regardless, right?
Yes, correct.
And you're saying they're both the same price?
Yes,
And you're
but
saying the Tesla one
Then what's the
is
difference?
gonna have extra stuff that I don't care about?
correct. And it was released today, like
What? What is this? What is this hypothetical?
because I want to know what he would do if he couldn't, if there were no, like, I just want to know if you would buy a Tesla oven day one. Like, and what I want to know how much you trust or how much what Tesla says affects you. If your
Like,
answer is yes, I would buy it, it's the same price and it does more. I don't give a fuck if it's a Tesla. Then that tells me that you also don't care, which is fine.
Well,
But
I
if
wouldn't
you
buy
were
a
to
no,
product
say,
day. I
it's
wouldn't
not
buy a
that
product
simple.
day
I
one.
answered your question. It depends on what's going on in my life at the
just right
time.
now, like literally right now, your oven broke And this
Yes,
happened.
and they're both the same price now and does more. Yes, because I don't care about the longevity of my oven at this time. So, because I know there are people out there that care about Tesla like that, if I'm gonna get like a first run model, even if it busts, I don't give a fuck. Like I can sell that shit because it's like worth something. So yeah, I would
Okay,
buy
so
it.
you put your trust in them at least enough to put your money on their oven rather than the old faithful. So I mean that's like something that's
I
okay.
would do
I
the
That's
same
wouldn't.
thing if
interesting.
there was an Apple oven.
I wouldn't buy any pro. I wouldn't buy any products day one.
Oh, but John, you wouldn't buy a day one any
No.
product?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I would buy. Yeah, I would buy a day one product from a company I trusted, but I would never buy any product from Tesla at this point because they've shown me so many of their company that I hate. So like they're dead to me at this point. I don't know if there's anything they could ever do to gain my trust. So,
Do you think
huh.
it's possible? Do you think it's possible that people who like Elon or like whatever other companies, do you think it's possible for them to not be trustworthy in your eyes and still make good products?
Not really. I think when you run a company, so much of that company is truly tied to who you are that I think the person behind the product and the product are almost one and the same.
Okay. Okay.
I think someone who runs a company well will make a good product, and I think someone who doesn't run a company well will ultimately have a shitty product.
And your definition of running a company well is always being honest.
I think that's if you're not honest, I think that's points against you for sure. Yeah. Maybe there's other things you can do to make up for it, but
Okay.
so far with Tesla, they've done a lot of that and
I
not
don't
done enough making up
to
for it. So,
to Guda's point, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I mean, it depends on to what degree you're being dishonest, obviously. But I think if your promises or your ambitions and what you can produce in the meantime is grand enough, I think that for most people allows you leadway to not to like not necessarily be honest about everything. I think there are companies that have dishonest people that are people in them that have been dishonest who have run the company and the company still be successful. I think that's possible.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad for people to invest in potential. And it's like yeah, if you saw someone that like let's say you wanted to date and you're like, "Man, it seems like in 20 years I think that their life should be pretty good." And then like it turns out that that didn't happen in like 10 years. Are you just gonna like give up and then be like, well, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like I knew they were lying the whole time. Like
Yeah.
these people,
I would say it depends, right? Like wouldn't it depend on
yeah,
what's happened in the meantime, like over that time?
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
It
Do
kind
you
of
know how
depends.
mad I would be if I got married to someone and they said in 10 years they would want to do this, and then I got to the 10-year mark and there's like, I don't want that. Like, I would be pissed. Like, I would, yeah. No,
Oh, man.
would
Yeah. I think
would
you
I
have
want
to
to
be
work it
willing
out?
to like
I don't
let
know.
people
Like,
be like flexible. Like
Yeah,
the
I think
people
change
evolve,
is
things
yeah
evolve.
exactly like change is a normal part of most relationships. I feel like I don't think there's anyone I was friends with in certain year that I like that I might have made promises to that I think would be upset with me if the promise might have fell through if it was years in advance. Because I think they understand that, like Gouda said, people like things change, people grow, people like what people want
why
is
would you
different.
even make a promise that far in ahead? Just be like, I'll see when I get there. Like,
Like
because
so
sometimes you're wrong because sometimes you're not always right about what you want. Sometimes you think you're sure and you're not. Like not everyone has their entire life figured out and know exactly what they're gonna do in the future. Like again, no one has that much foresight unless maybe you're like
I feel
80 and
like
you
I
can't
do.
move.
I can't think of really any like real false promises like that I make on purpose or just like knowing this like yeah I'll who knows if that's gonna happen unless like I'm legit like gaming the person or just like trying to like get or if they're not my friend or something like that then like or like I have something I'm trying to get out of them but like Yeah, like if you guys were like, hey, what are you doing November 2035? I'd be like, I don't know, and I can't ever promise you what I would ever be doing. Like, there was literally no. If you were like, want to do something, I would be like, I have no idea. Like, maybe, how about you ask me at least like once the year 2035 starts, maybe the year before at most. I would never be like, yeah, I let's move to Barbados in 2035. I'm in. I know I'll still want this by then. Like I would never. Yeah, I guess I just feel like
So
it's
you
up
don't
to the
ever change
person.
you don't ever change your mind when you make a decision about something large.
I no, I guess not because I hold
I
off my
think
decision making.
that's wild. That's insane. That's so crazy.
I feel
Because
like it's pretty easy because I just don't make the decision until I know. Once I know, then I make the decision.
that's
I don't
fine,
say
but
in 10 years that I'm going to do something.
well
I'll
that's
say, we'll see.
right, and that's fine, but I think that still like doesn't allow for the flexibility of the things that you said could possibly happen. Like expectations could change. Like
But
you
what am I saying? I didn't say anything. I just said, we'll see.
no, I didn't say you saying you'll see will do that. I'm saying the idea that if you did commit to something, let's just assume you would commit to something, right? Like the idea that then you're locked in no matter what, it seems like really restrictive for no reason. Like there's no downside to changing your mind if you and the party that you originally agreed with both understand that things changed and you're both okay with it. Like
Interesting.
I don't think that's a problem. Like, and, you know, in the Tesla situation, obviously you are the other party and you have a
Yeah,
problem with it. Fine,
I do have a
okay,
problem
I
with that.
understand
Yeah.
that. But like in relationships and like with people, I feel like you have to be more flexible than that. Like that just seems so rigid. Like no one can ever make you a promise and then like double back. Like I understand that that's not ideal, but like also life has a lot of unideal situations.
I mean, yeah, I really do look at it that way. I feel like if you say, like, if you told me tonight, like, hey, let's meet at, if every single time we record this podcast, you guys were, with you, John, were like, let's meet at 7, and then I came at 7, and you were never there on time, I would, and eventually, if you said, let's meet at 7, I would just not show up at 7. I would just show up, like, later or when I think you're gonna actually show up. Like, so, like, at a certain point, the trust would be broken from me from that point onward. And I feel like put the same expectation on myself. I try to never say something that I don't actually plan on doing 100%. And then if I do end up failing at that task, I feel like that's like like a terrible mark against my honor in my eyes, like, and that I now, like, at the very least owe that person something for giving them the expectation, forcing them to plan for something that I told them to plan for, and then not following through on that. So that, yeah, I guess that's the way I see it, which is just different. I
So
mean,
you
neither
wait,
one's wrong. It's just
wait.
it's
So
different.
you do you hand out gifts to people when you're late?
Yeah, I mean, now, damn it, now everyone's gonna know. Like, no, I'm not doing that. No one expect that from me. But honestly, like deep down, yes, when I'm late, I feel like I owe you something now. Like,
Okay, and I think you have to realize that the people who actually like deal with you enough to care about you, uh, really that's such a small detail in like what we think of you as a person that like when you're late, we're not like docking points. Like that's crazy. Like
and that's exactly why we're friends.
I
That's exactly why we're friends because you don't dock points. But
oh
some
my
people
god.
do. Some people are legit. Not everyone is like that. And like,
But do you dock points?
Uh, I feel like no, you guys will be my friends no matter what. But like I said, eventually I'm not gonna believe you if you say you're
Right.
showing up at 7.
We just have
So
more
Wait,
like,
so
leeway than everybody
hold
else.
on. I just want to ask. So you said that generally you take everyone's like word as value until they prove otherwise. But like wait, and then you just said what did you just say? Can you just repeat it?
me?
Yeah.
Well, Well, yeah, I take it until otherwise. Like, unless you say, if you say enough times you're gonna show up at 7, then you don't. I'm not gonna believe that you're gonna show up at 7 anymore. I'll still be your friend, like for sure. But like now, I won't be expecting
Man, just be
someone to
But
be
Elon's.
there
but
at 7.
so
Just
but
be
okay,
Elon's
so
friend then.
then if they didn't, like you would think that for you and your worldview that people would dock points, but I don't know how
Yeah,
people can
I
be
would
good
expect
intentioned
someone.
and then
Yeah,
also be wanting to
yeah,
dock points.
that's a
Wait,
great
wait,
point.
I missed the beginning part of that.
I don't know how people could be good intentioned, but then also you're always
That
on the lookout for people to be docking points from you. Like that's
yeah,
not a good
that
person.
that's a great point. That is a
Like, what do you
great
mean?
point.
I don't
What?
get that exactly.
He's saying
Because like
if
if
good
you're
people,
worried about being late and then you think that, oh well, since I'm late I owe you something, like because you think that person is docking points against you. But earlier you said that you just tend to believe that people have the best intentions until they don't. I feel like someone that's good intentioned isn't going to be on the lookout for things to dock points from you for.
yeah, that's it. Yep.
Interesting. And I guess in my experience, I've met more people who do dock points than
And
don't. So I just assume everyone's docking points.
So then
Like
how
you
can
guys have
you
been like the rare exception,
yeah,
really.
how
yeah.
can
Then
you
how can
think
you
that
take
they're
them at
good
the word?
intentioned?
Yeah, how can you take them at the word then if you assume that they're in some way a bad person because they're docking points?
Yeah, I mean that's why I only have you two as my friends at this point. You're my only friends. But yeah, so that probably has something to do with it, like I'm sure, basically. But
I
yeah, I
just
mean like
to go
I
back, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but to go back, when Elon is doing all this stuff, I look at him the same way as like when Kennedy went up there and he's like, "We're gonna go to the moon, not 'cause it's easy, 'cause it's hot." Like that's Elon.
Yeah,
Like he
but we
doesn't
did
really
get to
know.
the moon.
Yeah, he didn't know we are gonna make it there. Like, can you imagine like
yeah,
someone saying that back in that year, being like, "Yeah, you see that big
yeah.
white thing
That's
up there?
true.
We're gonna put a fucking human
That's
up
very
there."
true. He made a promise that he
Like,
did not know was gonna come true.
yeah.
He just promised it though.
But he did it.
He just has the hope.
He
That's
did
what
it.
Elon's doing. I think the problem is that we are witnessing like a change like in humans, like in history right now. And unfortunately, like like things are happening so fast that we can see all the flaws and the mistakes for like what it is. Like, yeah, Elon's not probably doing it like the best way that he could, but like this is like what's available. Like these are the communication channels of our time,
Yeah,
and that's just the way it's gonna be. I mean,
I mean, that's fair, sure. But I guess I still dock points for success. I guess. Like, Kennedy made the promise, he made it. I don't really
wait.
know much else about Kennedy, so like that's like that clip is like really the only thing I know. And then I know a lot about Elon, and a lot of it has been failures in my eyes. So
right,
I
but
yeah,
it's just because he's visible. Just like how John said, you don't know who Sundar Pichai is, who's like the CEO of Google.
Yeah,
But like, if
I
you
feel
did
like
watch
it's
his,
not fair to like put that on someone that they could or would be failing when like they haven't even like given you that chance yet. Like
yeah, and I'm saying I don't think it's you're being fair to Elon. Not to say that he deserves anything. I'm just saying that like that's his job. Like he has
to
to do that.
lie,
Yeah.
but
yeah,
he
yeah.
Elon
Absolutely.
could go
It's
about
his job
doing
to
things in a
he
different way.
at a press
You said
conference.
that.
At a press conference, your job as the CEO is to tout
No,
what
that's
your
not true.
company
Your job
can
as a CEO
do.
is not to lie about the future on purpose.
No,
Like,
no,
I'm
and
no,
that's
sorry to
my
tell
no.
you
It's
that's
problem.
not.
not
Yeah, that's
true.
just not.
Like
Yeah, that's
I
not.
understand why
No.
you want to believe that, and
Yeah,
like
yeah. For
I
real.
get it like so bad, and it hurts me that like it's not that way, and that it should be. Like I'm on your side about
It's
that. It
not that
should
way.
be
Like,
that
there
way.
are companies that
It
don't
should
do
be
that.
that
There are
it
even
should
tech
be
companies
that
that don't do
no, it
that.
should be that everyone tells the truth all the time. Yes, I agree, but that's not business. That's not
No, it's really not.
capitalism.
It's funny. Like, I
That's
feel
not what being
like
a CEO is.
we have like, how is that not being a CEO? That's crazy to me. Like, so like, yeah, yeah, that's just crazy to me. Like, I think for sure there are companies that don't do it, and so I think that gives me the right to not like these companies and give them a hard time for their failures because I do know that there are other companies that don't do it and do it better. So like, why can't they be like the good ones?
But I'm saying everyone is good until they're not. And then what happens when they hurt you? Like, I'm
And
scared
right,
for you, man. Like, what
hasn't
happens
Tesla
like when
shown that they're not hurt? Actually, haven't hasn't Tesla showed that they're not good?
yeah, and I'm saying like all the other companies that you trust that you keep like buying from. And then what happens like when they do something that you think is Elon-esque,
That's
which
a
is like
what
a
if.
lie.
I
Right. The
think it's
same
unfair
way that
to look
he's
at a
like
company and just assume that they're going to be lying. Like they haven't even given me a reason to think that. I'm just going to assume they're a bad person, like or
I
a
think
bad
he,
company.
I think
I
he's
feel like that's
asking,
not fair.
I think he's asking what would you do if you found that to be the case?
Yeah, and like that, obviously, you know what I would do. They have shown me reason. Now I don't trust them. That is the next step. But my opening thoughts of the company, I think that's what we're getting at. Like our differences in how we perceive a company, like essentially. And yeah, like, and I'm just shocked that like when the company lies, you guys just see it at oh, this is normal. Like a
No,
company, like
I
how could you
to
ever avoid
me,
a
so
company?
to
I
me
just
he
don't I
he
just
never
Never
don't
have to
lied.
know.
avoid
No.
every
He never
company,
lied.
I
When
but
did he
I
lie?
I still haven't
every
heard you
company
name
acts that way.
I haven't heard you name a company who doesn't have that as part of what they're doing. Like you keep saying that it's possible to do
Actually,
that. You said
Microsoft is a pretty good company.
you
They're
don't
not
they
perfect, but I
okay.
actually still like them because I do watch their press conferences and they're not like egregious about it.
So you
So
don't
I
think
would say Microsoft.
there's ever been any scandals where they might have not told the truth in their history?
From what I can see, and that's why I like them, and that answer is no.
Have you ever Googled Microsoft
Yeah, don't
scandals?
look into it.
Yeah, have you ever done that?
No,
Don't.
I
You should
haven't Googled Tesla
you should
scandals either.
you should do that.
Like that's the same standard. I can do that with anything then. In
That's the
that
point.
case,
That's
then
the
I would
point.
look at the world the same way you guys do
But
and
that
just say everyone sucks. But I feel
but
like
that's
that's
my
not
point.
fair.
But that's my point. You're saying if you know in your head you could find things that have been unsavory about every company, but you're choosing to not acknowledge those things are happening because you're not putting your eyeballs on them. All you're saying is you're ignoring bad information. You're ignoring information
I mean,
that doesn't
not
literally
that's
align with your
true.
worldview.
Like if the company is good to me, then it's a good company. In my world, that's a good company. Like
Okay. And in
just
your
like the
but in
Tesla
your but
followers,
in your world
then
you stop.
Tesla's a good company for them.
Okay, but in your world, your version of the company being good to you is just only being good in the times that you happen to see them, not in all the other times they're operating. Like how they operate with you is a very small example of how they operate. Like how are you ignoring all the other information about them and saying just your information counts, acting as if they don't act with other people?
That is correct. If I am working, if there's a company
That's
that is complete shit show behind the scenes, and if I actually got to see it, I would hate it. But it was somehow they had their shit just together enough where like I had no idea that's who it was like. I feel like I respect that. They kept their game together enough so I wasn't affected. My life is still good, and in my eyes, even though they're a shit show behind the scenes,
okay.
when it came to me, they were good, and I respect
Okay.
that. Yeah.
All right. So then me being able to email you scandals of companies you like, that should just ruin this whole facade then, right? Because the moment it's in front of your face, then you know.
I mean, in a way, yes, that would. Yeah, if you were putting in my face like constant things, and that's
All right.
why probably like it's illegal to do that as like an influencer, or in a way, like what is that called? Like
I'll.
defamation or
I
something
can't.
like
I can't.
that.
I can't wait to start sending you links after this.
I
Man, why
mean,
would you do
you don't
that if
want
you
to
know it's
ruin my
gonna harm?
worldview. Like, go ahead, I guess. But then,
Because this
I'll
is
try
it's
to avoid the ones that
because
I actually like working with.
because
But
it's
like,
just the real world. Like this is happening. This is. I mean, it's so abundant that I like for when I hear you say that like there are companies that aren't doing it. I understand that's true, but like you're taking that premise and expounding it as so far as to say that you're expecting most companies are good. Like that's crazy. That
I'm
especially
not
when you're.
expecting most companies are good. I never said that. I'm just saying there are good companies, and that's the ones that we should be setting the
Oh,
standard
okay.
for.
I'm okay. I'm sorry. I think that you don't deal with any companies that have done sketchy things.
Correct, to me.
And I'm
Sketchy
yeah.
things to me, from
Okay.
what I can see.
And I'm saying that distinction to me is wild because in for you to assess whether something's good or bad in this grand scheme with Elon and then talk about how he could be damaging other people's money, but then the moment other people are being damaged with companies you like and you've already decided to deal with, you're like, nah, it's only me that matters. Like, how are you making that differentiation? A second ago it was
Like,
about everybody, and now it's only about you.
isn't that the best way of going about things? Because if we all, if in a democracy where all of our vote counts equal as one, and we all vote for what helps us personally the best, then the best the greater outcome will always win. So you should always, in my eyes, you should always pick what is making your life better and support that essentially. And you should give a company a chance, even if someone says bad things about them, like, oh, they did this, or oh, they did that, or don't buy that,
So
it'll explode. And it's like, how are you telling me that's going to explode when I've had that
wait,
product for 10 years and it's
okay,
never
so
exploded?
so
Like,
let me ask you something. If you and I have been friends for let's say another 20 years, and then in 20 years you found out that I've murdered 10 people, are you still gonna be my friend after that because I've been good to you?
honestly, yes, probably. There's a good chance. Yeah. Like
Okay.
if we were on our deathbeds and you were like, you know what, let me tell you something. I
No, no,
would
no,
be
no, no,
like,
no, no.
"Damn, like
Not
that's
not on our not
crazy."
on our deathbeds. Let's assume you found it out tomorrow. So we've been friends for quite some time, but we've got a long way to go. And now you know I've murdered a bunch of people, and I told you, and like you know now.
Well, okay, so you're telling me, so I know for sure it's true. So like,
Yeah.
uh, I guess it really depends in what way you killed these people, but like, I would be scared to see you in person. That's for sure.
But
Like,
I, but
but
I,
like, would
but
I?
why? But why though? I've been good to you. That's the premise of all this. If I've been
Right.
good to you, it shouldn't matter.
Well, like, I want to live still. Like, so that's like,
Oh,
that's
okay. So other people's how I impact other
just like
people does matter to you then, because
that's
it
like
could
a
impact
risk.
you.
Like that's a high risk. That's my life. Like so that's a little different. Like if you were to
But
say if you told me in 10 years you were I don't know, doing just something else like that wasn't like okay, if I'm wrong about this, I could die. That's where that's come from. So
well,
maybe that's an outlier. Like
maybe, maybe.
let's
Here.
change it to
Okay.
something where like my life isn't at stake. Because
Okay.
if my life's at stake, obviously I'll just pick the safe side. And the safe side is to just assume the worst. But that's not what I like to do. So like let's say I found out you were a career scammer.
Oh
Like
no no
let's
no no
say
no!
like
Wait! What if like in 5 years something you have a kid and you found out that like I was a child molester. Now this is a crazy example. Let me just be very clear. I have never ever touched a child inappropriately. Let's just be really fucking clear
yeah,
about that.
someone's gonna cut that and be
Yeah.
like it's gonna be like I am a child
Yeah, for
molester.
seriously, like, oh my God. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, where it could what I'm doing could possibly impact you and your child. But I've already been around your child and I've been perfectly fine with them, and there's been no evidence that I've ever done anything to them, and the child agreed. You know that I've never inappropriately touched your child. Are you telling me that because I've been good with your children after what I did to other children, you're gonna be let me around your kid?
Well, I guess if you told me, I would take that as a warning from you. So I would be like, okay, I won't. But if someone else told me that you were doing that, I would be like, that's crazy. I've been with John all these years. He's never done a thing. I would
Sure.
take your side.
Sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah, yeah.
would. I
No.
would not
Well, I
believe it.
would. Yeah, I would expect you to not just believe someone if they just shout that out in the street.
Yeah,
But
if you told me, I would take that as a warning. Like, but if you told me like something where it couldn't affect me, but like something that I think is morally wrong. Like if you told me that in the past you defrauded people out of like hundreds of like
okay.
old people out of like their
So
retirement savings, I would
okay.
think that's very bad, and I would say that's a wrong
Okay.
thing to do.
So
And I
so
don't approve of
basically
that, but I would still be your friend because you've been great to me, and I don't think you could ever hurt me.
so
So
basically you value deception then because you're saying that companies are fine. You're fine with certain companies as long as they do a good enough job to hide their shit from you.
correct. Yep.
Wow. Okay. So you just that's all it is. You just value deception.
Yes, I think deception is an art, and I think the way
I mean, that's not a bad
Elon
thing.
is doing it, I think it's dishonorable. I think if you're gonna do it, at least put on a
No.
good show and make it hard to figure out. But Elon's just egregious with it. So yeah, I think yeah, you've gotten to a good point here. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you don't like that wait, so you don't like that Elon is not deceitful. You don't like that he's a good person, and he's just terrible at his job.
I don't like that. Correct. I guess incompetence also
Yeah,
makes me not
yeah,
trust
yeah.
you. Correct.
Maybe he's not just some criminal mastermind that's not doing the criminal part right. Maybe he's just bad at getting those dates right. Like maybe he's just incompetent. Like
Right.
that's all we're saying. And you're like
Either
that. And
way,
you're
I'm not
you're
buying
just like
his stuff.
that's egregious.
Yeah, I'm not buying his stuff. He's incompetent in that, then like what else is he incompetent in? I just assume, yeah, if you suck at one thing, you're gonna suck at a lot more things. So like I try and live my life and not suck at anything and like so people just don't expect me to suck at anything.
You've just never sucked at anything in your life.
I don't know. You guys tell me, is there anything that you think that I have sucked at? Like or like, man, he sucked at this, like just blatantly. You can
Yeah,
be honest,
yeah,
like
yeah, man. You suck at being Elon's friend.
yeah, that for sure. Yeah, he showed me a reason why, and now I hate him. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's the front I try to put on. I try to put on my best at output at all times, and I assume that if I'm not putting out my best, then
I, that seems stressful as fuck. I mean, I would rather be friends with people who know that my best is something I strive for, but not necessarily something that I'm going to attain all the time, and like that's okay.
interesting. Yeah, and I just assume that no one would be friends with me if I wasn't putting out my best. No one
Jesus,
would like me in the same way that they do,
God,
essentially.
this is deep.
Uh,
Yeah, it is.
that's
That's
yeah.
crazy. I
I'm
mean, that
man,
makes
I'm
me feel.
scared, man. That hurts.
Yeah, I was gonna say that makes me feel really bad because I feel like then like maybe I don't really know all of you.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And I obviously that's true. I think that's true of everybody to some extent.
Yeah.
Like, but you know what I mean. Like, but even stronger to the sense that you're making, because you're saying like you're like purposely hiding some like big parts. That's what it sounds like when you phrase it that way.
Yeah, I feel like I would definitely hide things that I feel like could negative affect you guys. Like as long as like the act of hiding it isn't gonna cause more harm. Like if I feel like I can hide something from anyone and their life isn't gonna be any worse about it, and me revealing that or allowing that to leak out to them is only gonna put a burden on them, then like yeah, I'm just gonna keep that to myself, and like that's my problem to deal with essentially. Like
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that.
yeah,
But I don't think that's. I mean, I think I personally do that myself, but I don't think that that's what I'm striving to do. Like I would prefer to like work towards being able to share more, even if it's uncomfortable for me or might inconvenience the other person, because I feel like relationships have a lot to do a lot of the times with how people treat inconvenience. Like that tells you a lot about the other person. Like, would you like with people that you know the best? Like, do you feel like you only are good with them, Valero, because like you said, they've only dealt with you at your best? I feel like someone in your life has to have dealt with some part with you that might have been tough. Like, I feel like that also
my
deepens
wife.
relationships. Yeah, yeah, my wife.
My wife
Yeah.
has yeah, she's seen me suck. Like I think she's probably the only person like unless you guys can be like yeah, I mean like I feel like Gouda, you've seen me maybe at like maybe some lower points, but like I feel terrible about that. Like honestly, like I don't like showing that. I feel like I guess like when people come to me and they show me their problems, I immediately assume that I'm supposed to be like helping them or like I don't even know like being helpful in some way. So like if I feel like if I put that on someone else, that's a burden to them. So like I don't want to like be a burden to like someone else,
Yeah,
obviously. But like
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
think I just think it's not you're not being fair to yourself to think that one mistake makes you totally invaluable. Like no one can be perfect all the time forever and like if you only if you're only like putting yourself in situations where you can be perfect, you'll miss a lot of life. I guess that's what I
yeah,
feel like.
yeah.
Like it's
That's
What
fair.
just
would I miss? Just sucking, I guess, or just
Uh,
sucking in front of people.
I
life isn't just being perfect though.
yeah.
How? I mean, but it doesn't really like
I
slow me
think
down. I feel like, if anything, it's
well,
maybe like a little stressful, like John
Well,
said.
well,
Like,
with your wife, like I don't like I don't want to speak for Lorraine, but like I don't I part of me has to believe that seeing you vulnerable is part of her getting to know you and part of her like deeper understanding and connection with you. I can't believe that she would just marry you if she had never seen you go through something and how you handled it. Like that just doesn't seem to make sense to me. So like
that's
that's
funny.
that's a perfect example. Like if you were never vulnerable in that spot, how could you have ever? I don't think you would have ever had the opportunity like at this level to like marry your wife. Like that's a big thing you would have missed out on.
I mean, like, it's funny because I actually do look at it even that way, and I don't think. I think this is all comes down to the personality thing as well. Because I don't think your guys' way is wrong, and I don't think my way is wrong. But like, yes, I do feel like when my wife sees me at those lows, I think those are points against me. I don't know if she feels this way. I think this is how I would feel about myself if I were
Yeah,
her.
yeah,
So like,
yeah,
I feel like yes, I during those lows, I do feel like those are points against me.
yeah,
And I do assume that if I stuck or show those low moments enough, that eventually the relationship will not be worth it for 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 her, and then she would leave me at that point. And that's like, and I'm just assuming that's about anyone. I'm assuming that really the same even with like you guys. I feel like if I just like was a Debbie Downer all the time around you guys, or I don't know, like, or just like I don't
yeah.
know. It's hard to explain how I would be because I'm just not that way around people. I hide it so much. So like, if I just was that way, I have a feeling if I say I know exactly the true me. If you go to Reddit and look up the ENTP subreddit, that is my truest, deepest, darkest feelings. And it's not like a pretty place. Like, people say some really terrible things there. And I'm even shaking my head like, man, these guys are reckless. Like, and I just see that as like an immature version of myself. Like, I was more saying that stuff out loud when I was a kid, I guess. But yeah, like I do think if everyone saw that version of me, they'd be like, Jesus Christ, like let's steer
I
clear of
mean,
this person. Like,
well, I think
yeah,
too, like I probably share some of that, but I also realize that in certain parts of my life, some of those fears are just unwarranted because it shouldn't, like those things, some of those things are just normal parts of life. Like I can understand not wanting to be a Debbie Downer all the time around people you care about, because I especially felt that way too when like we had a kid. For sure, I felt like I was like I didn't want to be bringing things down because I knew that like my wife just went through a lot, like having a baby is not easy. So, but like part of me also realizes that like to fake that forever is not healthy for me or them. Like I just don't think it's reasonable to assume that people who care about you at that level are just going to leave you like at the first at multiple signs of hardship. If anything, I would think because your goals should be aligned to not to make sure that like if I knew you were just like in a shit place all the time, like my goal would be to see if there's anything I can do or we could do to like not have you in that. Like if it just meant like we all hung out more or like visit or something. Like just stupid shit. But like I think the people around you who care about you probably have a goal equal to yours of not having you feel that way, but not just not just pretending to not feel that way, but like actually being happy. So I think if you were just shared that with them, I don't know. I feel like maybe you could get to a better place faster.
I mean, like I guess like that's really why I like to have be alone so much because I feel like when I'm alone, there is no expectations. I just get to
Yeah.
be. I like
Man, that's
that's where
true.
I
Yeah,
am only myself is by myself.
that's so true.
But like, yeah, I don't know. I don't. Do I feel that this is a bad way of doing things? No, like everything. I feel like my life has gone super well. I feel like the people that I'm around. I feel like you guys, like, you don't really show like that part of yourselves to me, from what I can tell. Like, so like my time with you guys is always like amazing. Like, I don't know like what you guys are hiding from me per se, but like I have a feeling if you guys were like, if you were guys like were in like a terrible place for like a long, long time, for like years, and like every time I talk to you, it's just like negativity, negativity, bad things. It's things that I have to help you out with. Like it's a constant drain on like maybe my time or who I am or like my ideals. I feel like at that point the relationship would not be good for me anymore. And then I would probably not
So
want to be
so
your
that's
friend at that point.
so
And
that
that's
so
what
that's how you
I
see us.
wouldn't want to happen. Yeah, I mean in a way, yes. I mean not even in a way, just straight up like right. I mean there is a way you guys wouldn't be my friend, I guess, like and that would be it. But like you don't do that. Like and I guess like yeah, like why? Considering you're saying that you are that way where you
Well,
do feel
why?
comfortable enough around your friends to like show them your true.
Well, I'm actually closer to you. I'm saying that I would, but I'm striving to be closer to the middle of that spectrum. Like I don't think share like to your point, I don't think sharing everything is healthy, and I don't think sharing nothing is healthy. I want to be somewhere in the middle where I can feel like if something's really bothering me, and I feel like other people like being in the loop would help me cope with it. I want to be able to do that, but obviously not at the expense, if I'm doing it all the time, of friendships. So I think the like healthy answer is somewhere in the middle. But I recognize that I'm not there. So I'm not saying I'm good at it. I'm just saying if I have to choose, I'm striving to try to be closer to the sharing some and dealing with other parts myself.
Like I like yeah, you guys don't show me shit. Like I don't know
I
if
gotta
I've
I gotta
ever
start sharing now.
seen. I maybe have seen you cry, John. Maybe. I'm not even sure. Maybe. But I don't know if I've ever seen you cry, Gouda. So like it's not like
That
you guys are
that's not
like
true.
sharing. You think I've seen you cry?
Oh yeah,
Cry?
certainly. I think I don't know, it's strange to me to hear you say this because like I like for for having known you for like damn near 23 years, you think every single time that we hung out, I was 100% perfect.
And yeah, and I did want to mention that, but I didn't want to like pump you guys up too much. Is that I think you guys, yeah, have always been like really great and like correct. Yes, that is so that would be basically correct. Yep. It's like I don't know what that's
We're
supposed to mean. Like,
exactly
what
so
does
wait
that mean?
so we're exactly what you're looking for. We're good deceptive con artists.
Maybe, I guess so. From my perspective, yes, you could be exactly that,
And
or you could
and
be completely comfortable. But either way, everything with us is great. So like,
okay.
I'm happy.
I guess I'll have to try to test the boundaries of what I think is shareable with you then, because I think again I think it's the healthiest thing to do, but now I'm a little afraid that like you just might walk away. You're just gonna be like, fuck this guy, he's always talking about some bullshit.
Well, I mean, like, I couldn't even imagine what it would take for you guys to get to that point in your lives. But like, I feel like, yeah, like when I make my friends, if I see that someone is, if I meet someone for the first time and they're going through like terrible either mental health problems or even financial problems, I will probably steer clear of you just so like, because I see that as a liability. Like, you
But
could end up doing something that could like fuck up my life like if you're that bad like I'm talking about like you got to the point where it's like okay like they might be killing themselves like or like this is like they need me constantly like this is it's like affecting my life like to that point and like I don't know what it would take for you guys to ever get to that point where like the amount you guys need me as a friend is like affecting my life now like that would be I've never experienced that with either of you. Like we just hang out, we have our talks and like which is like
I don't think I'd ever want to share so much that you're like every time you get up you're like, oh man, I wonder if John's gonna make it today. Like not like that, but like so I think I would like to get to a point where like it it would not. I mean, again, and it's not that you have like precluded like prevented this from happening, but like I would think it would be okay for me to share that like if things aren't going well or like something was bothering me.
You said you would think it's okay to share that.
with you.
Right, and I agree. And I would also, and I do. I feel like I do share with you guys something if I feel like I want input on it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Gouda? Let's hear your input on this one. Because me and John, he's INTP, I'm ENTP. Like, we're both almost the same on that, except for the introverted, extroverted part, which honestly really goes into explaining why how we look at the companies. But like, you're a completely different personality type. So yeah, I'm interested to see
Wait, so
how much showing of how much of your dark side is a good amount to show your friends.
I think that's a complicated question because you know my personality type, so just by the very nature of this being recorded, I can't like really tell you
I mean, right,
like
yeah, we are
straight
getting
up.
personal here.
Uh, so yeah, I don't even know how to answer your question.
I guess
That's how I'd answer my your question as my personality type.
the safe
Ask,
way,
yeah, ask
diplomatic.
ask me later when we're alone.
Yeah, that makes sense. A typical Gouda thing to do. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
But like I just wait, so yeah, I don't think like I'm not ever putting on airs or like a facade. Like the way I see it, I surround myself with people that I feel like I can be myself with no matter what the situation. And I never got the impression that that's like like you have like some kind of like problem with that. Like you always seem like pretty good like with anyone that like needs like help or like is going through things like and I don't think it really like seems like you think that's burdensome.
I mean,
Uh
I will
but
say my expectations for myself are much higher than anyone around me, which may play into like some sort of like God complex narcissism type of thing. But like, but like, yeah, I just assume, yeah, like everyone else is not going to live up to any sort of like version of what I would expect myself to do. So like,
but
there
see
is that
that
also.
that doesn't make sense again because you said that for the most part you expect people to do the right thing until they don't to you personally.
Right. There is like a line. Like I think right. I think right. This area is not black and white. It's not either like either or. Like I have a line and like it's not up to where I expect myself. Like I don't expect you guys to act and do everything that I'm doing though and whatnot, but I do expect people to just be like normally honest or like at least try to do like the right thing. So like in that way, Elon has completely crossed the line, but you guys have never even come close to crossing that line because, yeah, I've never even like I really can't think of like any bad things you guys have ever done or like affected my life in any way. Like, yeah, so like my expectations for you guys, I guess, are lower than what I do for myself. Maybe like possibly, my mom might have been a little bit too hard on me as far as like mistakes made. Like growing up, like there was no such thing as making a mistake. Like if you make a mistake, like you're gonna feel that. Like there's gonna be consequences. So like I have high expectations for myself, but I don't hold like you guys to that, and I definitely don't hold everyone to that. But there is an expectation that I do hold for everyone.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's right and healthy. I think everyone should have an expectation for the people that they surround themselves with. The
Yeah.
expectation that they carry themselves in a way that makes you feel safe and appreciated and all that stuff. So, like yeah, I mean, yeah, I just think that you you have the I mean, it's your life, like you have the authority and the permission to like not be what you think is perfect. Like, or like no one, that's not your job. It's not your job to be perfect like every second of every day.
Is that your only job?
No. I mean, I think that's like kind of the line in the sand for most people that are alive and conscious. It's either they decide that's their job or they decide it's not their job.
Yeah.
Is it, yeah, should you be trying your best at all times? Which doesn't mean it's always going to be perfect, but it's still your best. Or do you think it's okay
No,
to not try your best all the
I
time? Yeah, I
I
guess
I
that's the.
think I think my best is only reserved for people that have already dealt with in some capacity. Like I'm not giving my best to the cashier. Like no, I'm sorry. Like I don't think I owe anybody that, and I don't think they owe me that. Like I think for the lower on the totem pole of interaction, the less of my best you're probably gonna get. Like in my mind, what I owe you is like just being cordial and like not being an asshole. Like that's what I think I owe people I don't know. Everyone else like would be like everyone that I deal with, I would like slowly tear up from that. But like no, like I
So
can't
you don't
imagine.
purposely smile when you meet someone on the for the first time?
I might smile automatically, but I'm not thinking to myself, "Oh, gotta smile." Like no,
Oh, I am for sure.
Jesus, no, I definitely not.
Yeah, like definitely.
God, your interactions must be fucking torture.
Yeah, that's why I need so much alone time. I need that recharge like hard.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
need
don't,
that hard recharge.
I get that too, and but I mean, I don't think I don't deal with people for other reasons, but like, I understand definitely like want to be alone to recharge from the world, but I feel like your problem is somewhat solvable. Like, you're placing the expectation on yourself and tiring yourself out for no reason.
I mean, whoever said I was tired? I mean, it's
You
a
just,
little
you
stressful.
just said.
I might be able, based on what you guys are saying, I do understand I can probably take it down a notch and suck a little bit more, which is like somewhat comforting, I guess.
You just said you need so much alone time. That's because you're so tired. you, you
Well, I
literally
mean,
just said that.
I just
like
think
I have
that
no
like
other way in my life. Like my alone time, like I couldn't imagine like being so comfortable with everyone. I can almost guarantee you, you guys would not be my friend if I was just so comfortable that I just exactly how I am alone. If I just like acted like that with you guys would not see me as the same person. Like,
Well, I'm not saying you have to
and
be
I
100% you. I mean, like you said, like I think there's tiers to it. I don't think you have to oversharing for an unnecessary reason. Yeah, I think that doesn't make much sense in most like relationships. Like, but yeah, just being yourself and having like natural reactions to things instead of just always like censoring yourself and putting it through a filter all the time. Like that's even if it's unintentional, it seems like for you it's intentional. I feel like that's a tough thing to deal with. Which
mean,
and it doesn't necessarily have to be because I don't think everyone else is it like you said. I don't think anyone else is expecting that of you. It's just something that you want to maintain.
I can 100% guarantee that these things that you think are bad that you do like in private are not even like nearly as bad as as you might think.
and
Like
that could be
what
true.
what could you like we're all humans. Like we're literally like confined to like what our bodies are capable of doing. And like I can think of the worst thing I've ever done like while I've been alone and like I could give a fuck if you did that. So, like, what is it that you're like hiding?
I feel like what I'm hiding is really the contradictory nature of my own brain. Like, you guys have seen it a bit here today. You're like, oh, so you trust people, but yet you have low expectations for everyone. It's like you think everyone should be this way, yet it's this way. So, like, if I were to share that out loud constantly as it came to my mind, like you would see me being the Joker on one end and saying these like terrible things, and then you would see me being an angel on the other end and saying that's not right. And I feel like that would come off as confusing. And I like
It
to, I guess, figure
Not
out.
really. It would just be you.
yeah.
I mean,
I mean
sure, it's me,
humans
but
aren't
I feel
yeah,
like that
humans aren't
seems
always consistent.
exhausting. I
Humans
would
are
assume that's exhausting to be around. Like, what is this guy? Is he a
I
good guy? Is he
No.
crazy? Is he not? What the hell's
no.
going on here? like, like,
I don't think I expect of you to be the ultimate pillar of consistency. Like I expect humans in some regard to have inconsistencies because like we're human. So I don't know that like just knowing that you have inconsistent thoughts like would necessarily would like turn me off from you and be like, oh, like look at this guy, he's fucking nuts. Because I feel like everyone's probably had that. Now I will say, like for me personally, I would love, like if I possibly could, I would love to be as consistent as humanly possible. But I know that like it does bother me in some regard, but just for myself, that like I can't get to like 100% consistency. It's just one of those things. Like you just have to realize it. But I feel like that realization is important because I also and can now empathize with the fact that like not everyone's going to realize that they are doing things like sideways, you know, in their life. Sometimes you just have differing opinions that at the time both make sense to you, and it's not until later that you find out, oh, that probably, you know, could have been handled better. But like I don't think it's a bad thing to know about yourself that some things you think are inconsistent because it at least means you're thinking about it. Like some people just hold inconsistent thoughts and they play like they're consistent. Like at least you know that about yourself and you're just like, all right, well, in this sense this is how I am and in this sense this is how I am. That just means you know yourself well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I just feel like I feel like I don't know. I definitely feel like a marriage. I feel like family because like you're like bonded, like you don't have a choice who you're related with. I feel like in those ways, like those people need consistency. Like
Yeah.
because if you're not consistent, then it's hard for them to like deal with it, I guess. Which is also why I've never asked you guys to like live with me because then it would kind of put you closer in that position
Right,
where it'd
yeah.
be like some possible confusion for
Right.
you.
Yeah,
Not
and
that,
I would say too that I probably would expect and I probably do expect a lot more consistency from like Danielle because I live with her.
right. So like yeah, I guess like in that way, like yeah, I try to always be consistent so I'm as easy to deal with as possible. But like also like a lot of the things you guys are saying, the way you feel about how I come off and like is exactly why we're friends, honestly, like probably because you don't see it in that way. But I feel like most people I meet I mean, like, I could be friends with them if I wanted because of how I come off, but then I already know they don't know me because of the front that I have put on. And, like, I do that even here with the podcast. I say a lot of things that I don't mean, like, just for, like, entertainment purposes or just to play devil's advocate or keep the conversation going. But, like, yeah, I mean, that's not really like. I mean, it's me, but it's not really me. So like, it's just like what I have chosen to like show these people. But for you guys in particular, you have you have made it clear that I can still be myself, and you guys just get it.
Yeah.
So like,
So
you have seen like who I am. Like,
yeah.
this is it, really. But like, for most people I meet, they might be confused as to why like I seem super outgoing and like super friendly, but then like I never want to hang out with them. They'd be like, I don't get it. Like this guy was like he was like all in my face like just 1 second ago, and like the second he's gone, like I just never hear from him again. Like so that might be confusing, and also, but like I just yeah, it's hard for me to find people like you guys who are just like yeah, it's fine, like just be
That's,
yourself, everything's great, and
that's what you got to do with Elon, man. He's just showing you his true self, and he just wants to be accepted.
his true self as an incompetent, like
Yeah, yeah, man.
non-planning idiot.
Yeah, he's not perfect, man. He's just trying to be cool with you and not be judged.
Yeah, I would shake his hand. If I met Elon, I would be like, Elon, holy shit, huge fan, man. Let me get a selfie. And then I would walk away and text you guys like, look at this fucker.
Wow.
That's that's what I
Jesus,
would do.
Jesus
Like I don't
Christ.
trust that guy. I'm gonna give him my best just so like I can get what I want, which is a selfie with him, and then I'm gone. Like no, he's ruined it with me.
Oh man.
Yeah, watch out. You never know what you're gonna get over here. No, I'm just kidding. No, people who are close to me, you guys know me. I mean, what you see is what you get. But like people who don't know me, maybe this kind of gives you a little bit of insight on why I haven't been opening up, or why I'm not just so easy to wanna wanna be consistent for another person. Like that's a lot of work. Like I got two people, I got you two, I got my family. Like that's enough consistency that I need to be showing. Everyone else can just, yeah, we're good.
Wow.
Well,
All
that
right. Well,
was
all
pretty
right.
good.
Yeah.
What are we at? We're at like
That
2 hours.
that felt like the old days.
So we're not gonna be able to record again for like a good little while after this. Is that right?
Yeah, I
Uh,
think so.
yeah,
Maybe
we'll be on
yeah, a couple months.
a little hiatus for a few weeks, but
How long we thinking? Oh, oh,
let's
here comes
not.
the
Yeah,
estimate.
yeah. Let's not
Oh,
estimate because we don't know.
see, like it's funny, like, if you didn't know for sure, like when we're not going to be busy, I would say let's not put a time out there. But if you know for sure, I would say like, yeah, let's give them a time. And then if we fail, I'm going to feel so bad about it and assume that everyone who's listening to this will never listen to us again.
Yeah, yeah. No one out there is as hard on you as you are.
Yeah. I think someone told me to act that way once, and I was like, that's a good idea. They said if I'm always the hardest on myself, no one else will ever need to be hard on me. And like, no one is hard on me, so I
Yeah,
think it's working.
yeah. The only problem is you're with yourself all the fucking time. You don't have to be with everyone else all the time. Like, goddamn.
No one bothers me now because I just bother myself.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Oh,
So,
what a world.
so do we want to put a week's amount of time that we might be back, or do we want to just say it's going to be a little while?
I don't know. We've never done it. You'll see us when you see us.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We've never necessarily put a timeline out there anyway. So let's just plan to reconvene when we plan to reconvene, and when we
Yeah,
do, you'll know it.
that's respectable. I like that. I
Yeah,
would invest into this company.
yeah. Now you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, not
That's
making
and
anything,
because we've
not
made
making
no
any promise.
promises, that's why no one listens. Because they don't know when to show up.
Yeah, that is true. That's exactly true. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a
This is
good
why
upsides and downsides to everything, I guess.
yeah, this is why Elon makes all those crazy promises, guys.
So people will show up.
Yeah,
Even if they show up with nothing to even show up for, they're there at least. And that's what Elon needed.
100%. But I know all of you will show up because that was some 2 hours of hot fire we just produced.
Yeah, the season finale, the returning season. Yeah, can we
Yeah.
call it that since we're taking a little break?
I mean, yeah, I
Oh,
guess
you want to just
probably.
start a new
Yeah,
season when we come back?
I mean, I don't
Dude,
know.
that's not bad. I would be down for that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
yeah.
fun.
Season finale. This is it.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got to know us a little bit better. Uh, and I think we'll call it there. Thanks for listening.